This is Radio Cayman in the Cayman Islands.
Oh, I think they're doing a great job. A lot of them are.
Good afternoon, Dwayne. How are you?
Not too bad, sir.
Ladies and gentlemen,
Radio Cayman's Talk Today with Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
But I do have some questions.
there are more questions than answers.
Radio Cayman's Talk Today. If you're ready to talk, we're willing to listen.
Well, I really enjoy this program today.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners participation program.
May God bless every person.
Good afternoon and welcome and thank you so much for joining us. It is our monthly See Wha Ah Saying, and boy, do we have a show in store for you. Ray.
We good?
Yeah, well, we're going to do it. We'll go back to Susan. She could do her thing. We can come back and do her thing.
Cool.
All right, stay tuned.
I'm
See
here.
Wha Ah Saying.
See what I said?
See what I'm saying?
See what I saying? You don't want to miss this unique, informative audience participation, light-hearted show with lots and lots of Cayman jokes, culture, and guests. As we talk about things we say and do, it happening every third Friday on Talk Today.
Wha Ah Saying is a special feature of Talk Today, jointly produced by the National Museum and Radio Cayman, a language, history, and culture show. Remember, it's every third Friday on 89.9 and 93.9 FM.
Proudly sponsored by Cayman National Bank. Proudly serving the Cayman Islands since 1974. Visit Cayman National Bank today for all of your financial needs.
See Wha Ah Saying begins right now.
Hey, good afternoon. Welcome back. It is See Wha Ah Saying, and this month's production.
This
brought to you by
month's
Ray.
extended or enhanced production, apparently.
Hey, ooh. And in the studio, we're going to have, one handsome fella and Deal. And
Thank you very much.
And then we get some other
So we
guys.
can prove it now.
We on TV. Yeah. And then we got some other callers join us, a guest online later. But this month, Ray, what did you get in store for us?
The topic is Cayman Texans or Texas Caymanians, depending on how they want to be called. But it's basically the amount of Caymanians that we have in Texas. I think people the biggest sort of diaspora for Caymanians is what Bay Islands would say.
I don't know. I
right?
mean, I always thought that song
would you
was.
agree with that?
Yeah, I was always told that there was more Caymanians in Port Arthur than there were.
Yeah, but
on the
y'all
planet.
lie too much.
I'm from Texas, man.
Okay.
Yeah, you lie big.
Yeah, everything's big.
So I think the second one, definitely the south of the U.S. is, but in particular we're talking about Texas right now.
So is that the song? All my exes
Lord.
in Texas. Okay.
Some of my exes live in Texas.
All right. So who do we have in store helping us to lie a little bit?
Well, you all are able to introduce yourselves.
I don't know. Maybe we can read it for Deal.
Yeah.
Hi, I'm Deal.
Okay.
That's
next.
Short and sweet. I'm Ward Scott. Yeah. That was good, huh?
Yeah, man. So we were neighbors, you know.
Next. Yeah, we were.
Yeah, right across the street from each other.
Yeah.
He still rocks at me.
So you guys are familiar with Texas, and in particular Port Arthur, Texas. We're kind of talking about. I know you're like or the surrounding area, or
No,
what
I'm
we call
deep.
it.
I'm Port Arthur deep.
You're deep Port
Proper.
Arthur.
Yeah.
Proper Port Arthur.
Yeah.
Okay.
By the railroad track.
Yeah, like, you know what they talk about when railroad tracks separate?
Yeah.
I was on the other side.
You were on
We
the
both
side.
on the other side for a while too, but
Just come in a little bit closer.
Yeah.
All right.
I was on the other side for a while, and I moved next to you
Till you got rich.
Till you got rich.
And air conditioning and everything.
Yeah.
So okay, so to try to corral this now,
All right.
Port Arthur, Texas, in particular, I think that was the basically the port for Caymanians to jumping off point. I know we've got them kind of all over Texas at this point, but so if we, what do you call it? You call it the Golden
Triangle. Yeah.
And what does that mean?
It's,
I thought that was something to do with Asia and like drug heroin or something.
I think
it had to do with
completely
oil.
different.
That's another triangle?
No, it's three cities. It was Port Arthur, Orange, and Beaumont.
Orange. I've never really heard of Orange.
But then in the 80s, we tried to up it. We call it the triplex.
Okay.
Yes. That was like the time a New Coke didn't go over well.
Oh,
So it failed along with New Coke. Went back to Golden Triangle.
Okay. So some little facts, just like a ground thing now. Little facts about Port Arthur. Japan attacked Port Arthur in 1904.
I wasn't around, but I heard something about it.
Okay, and then Port Arthur was also a place where they took most of Australian convicts. See, now that's I'm teaching on something now because there's a Port Arthur, Australia, and there's a Port Arthur in China.
And I believe there's a Russian one too. Every time I
think it might be the same one.
Every time I tell somebody I'm from Port Arthur, they go, "Oh, it's terrible about that massacre." Did you ever hear about the Port Arthur massacre was the worst thing that ever hit Australia. This dude went crazy and shot up a bunch of people. Yeah. Did you know anybody in the Port Arthur massacre? I'm like, I knew a couple of people died in car wrecks, but
So that's just to let you know there's other Port Arthurs, just so you're not confused. But the one we're talking about is actually on the Gulf of Mexico. Mm-hmm. Yes, correct me if my notes here now. It's actually right on the border of Texas, Louisiana.
Yeah, we used to be able to walk to Louisiana.
Like you can put a slingshot over to Louisiana.
Yeah, right? Be the capital of Louisiana, Port Arthur, Texas.
Okay.
Yeah, Port Arthur.
Yeah.
Port Arthur, Texas.
And you're on the Sabine River.
Mm-hmm. Sabine Lake, yeah.
Which goes up, lake or what is it?
Lake and a river.
It's a lake, yeah. But it's it doesn't get any deeper than 8 feet, the whole thing. It's huge, but only 8 feet.
You really sure that's a lake? That sounds more like
it's like a
but it's big.
A pond that don't
it's
need a
like
deep, that delta, need a deep well.
It's like the delta
just
of the
deep enough to drown
river natures.
Anytime you need to jump in, Dwayne.
I'm just listening and watching Ward shake. But tell you what, as Susan is speaking, Ray, you hearing? She got 2 calls. Cool. You want to grab those up? Yeah, let's go to our phones. See what I was saying this month, Port Arthur in Texas. Hey, good afternoon. Welcome. Thanks for calling.
Good afternoon, Dwayne, and your family up there.
Hey, don't say that publicly, man.
Yeah, I just want to call about something that it's not relative to what you're discussing, but I'm enjoying the show. But I just came up at the Davis Highway, and I got to the Butterfield Junction, right?
Mm-hmm.
Now, they've been working at that thing there for about a week and a half. They could have done that if the NRA had said to these contractors, we need this finished because it interrupts traffic to a degree that you should see the traffic up there. It takes an hour to get from where you would take 20 minutes to go. I mean, it's really bad. Not a soul working on anything. Why don't we do what they do in the US of A when they have important roads that need to be clear as soon as possible? Let them work at night and finish it up.
Well, that would be good to finish it up.
That would be good because they got this thing here, and everybody. I mean, you should see the cars. It starts down by the roundabout from down there by where those apartments are, or those where Doc got his new school is there.
Right.
That roundabout, that one, and it's just terrible.
Well, hopefully they'll get it resolved before the next day end in the way. Hey, listen, thank you. Not to be disrespectful, but thank you. I think sometimes your calls seem to fall in the affairs, but thanks for the guidance on the council. Let's go to the other line. Hey, good afternoon, welcome. Nope, that one is gone, in and out and around. All right. Susan said no, she's not taking that call. She didn't like what I was. No, she didn't say that. 949. She didn't say that at all. But this was just an example of what Texans are known for. You know, we go big.
Yeah. Cause a lot of,
Click. I get my 6-shooter.
Now, as Ray was sending information through and researching, a couple of things came to mind. Caymanians went all over the world. We have a lot of people. But as we're focusing on Port Arthur in particular, when did it start and why?
We have been in Texas for a while, like at least 100 years.
Yeah.
At least 100 years. Kind of what how it was pointed out to me was the name Eddington. Did I send that to you? Eddingston?
How it got its name?
Yeah, or no, the name Eddingston. Well, it's got an Eddingston Court. On Proctor Street.
Proctor Street, yeah.
Yeah. So, and that he came there turn of the century, basically, and started up about well. We'll get onto it later on with it. But I mean, he found
Miss Dennington's 3rd grade class information. If you minutes.
But then
you're contradicting me.
But also to get back a little establishment on what Port Arthur came from.
Arthur Stilwell,
correct. Well, how about this? We could do
Dennington, man.
Correct. And then round about when was it founded?
18 something.
18 officially, I think it says 1895.
And then incorporated in 1898. You told me. Is that right?
98.
And this is the thing: the Caymanians started to go there almost shortly thereafter.
I kind of think it was. They may have been in the area. Maybe this particular person was a tugboat captain, and correct me. What kind of traffic up that river? Is it kind of barges and tugs?
A lot of people had to go to school to get certified in Galveston or New Orleans, and a lot of people. It's between Tampa and Port Arthur have the most Caymanians in the United States. So, just for some reason because the Texaco oil plant's right there, and the ship would come right up, and it was just cheaper to live there, and so
But that's earlier though. Later. That's more what? That's 50s, 40s after the war, pre-war, post-war.
Yeah.
And I'm wondering if they weren't familiar with the area because we did a show already on Key West and how we helped build the railroad there. So I'm wondering if we weren't sort of known whether we didn't work along the Gulf Coast, along with Tampa and everything. So I kind of think we might have been there before. That I haven't had the chance to do enough investigation, but I kind of leaning towards that.
I know that where they discovered oil in Texas is in Beaumont. It was at Spindletop.
Yeah.
And so that was pure crude out. It was in Pittsburgh or Pennsylvania, and then it was Texas, and it was right there. So. I mean, it's always been. And
that's the other popular name, common name that I hear, Beaumont, Texas.
Yeah, blame it on Beaumont.
Yeah.
Is that Beaumont, Texas?
It's them people, I don't like them. They're just like a bigger town. They were the bigger city. There was Houston, it was the metropolis, and there was Beaumont, and then there was Port Arthur.
Yeah.
A different breed.
And they're part of the triangle?
Golden Triangle, yes. Yeah. Or the triplex.
Let's go to the triangle.
Formerly known as.
So to get to you all now, so your family, you're born where?
Down in Hell Road.
Okay,
right next to your daddy's house.
So I know that, but see, they don't know. Know
I'm on TV still.
TV.
Oh man, I got.
So give us a little thing of how you have your connections with Texas. What happened and how you became a Texan.
Yeah, I never knew that.
I was thinking about this all night, that you were going to answer that question. Ask me that question, how I was going to answer it. My family, most people know about my older brother Butch, and then Lillian, and then there's me and Dirk, and my mom and dad. My dad
in that order.
Sort of.
Yeah.
I'm
looking at
second. It from the children's point of view.
Yeah, my dad pronounced your brother's name Bush. You never say Butch.
Oh, Bush. That's a good. So anyway, back in I think it was 1968, my brother had moved down there.
This is Butch now.
Butch. Right? Bush. And Lillian also moved down there, with my cousin Roger and Ricky Parsons, and my family there. So anyway, they were down there with my dad, and we were stuck here in Cayman.
Stuck like a punishment, like hell.
Yeah, right there in hell, man. I was stuck there in hell, man. You know what was hell about it? When they put them electric wires through and I couldn't fly my kite. That was in 1968. Things that
it was shocking too.
And what was one of the really cool things about it? When my brother came back, he brought him a Zep Code 404 rod and reel, and that was when Turtle Farm first opened up.
Rich.
And man. I
had a 202.
But hold on, before that, now, why were your parents there? Why did they go to Texas?
My dad went there because he worked on the ships, and Port Arthur had two of the largest refineries in the world, and he worked on the tankers. And they had a large seaman hall there, NMU and SIU actually, and then they had master mate and pilots.
And for us that don't know the alphabet well. What do those?
NMU, National Maritime Union, and SIU is Seamen's International Union, I think.
Yeah, my dad wasn't part of that one. Okay. He was NMU. I think your dad was.
NMU.
Strong, man.
And then
did you ever get to go inside that hall?
Oh yeah, man! I went there and I watched the board. I talked to the guys and everything, and because I hung out with my dad a lot. I skipped school a lot.
we know.
I got a record. I think I got a record that still stands. 56 days. 1 year I didn't go to school.
You know how in school they
I had a brother that died every day in Vietnam. That was my excuse.
I was voted Mr. Missing in Action. Yeah. and I missed my high school reunion too.
Oh,
they were like, "Where's Ward?" Oh, missing.
Oh, I thought it was graduation.
All right, so when we come back, then let's take a first break.
If we come back,
my kids,
let us back
kids
on.
are listening.
Yeah. Let's
get
get Ward to share with us now. Your connection. You can pick up on it. It is see what I was saying. Ray leads ably, so please stay tuned.
Why rush around paying bills when you can pay most of your bills online? Cayman National offers an extensive list of service providers. Visit CaymanNational.com and log on to our personal or business online banking systems. Not an online banking customer? Contact their customer support team on 949-8300 for more information.
I've got some beautiful clothes. I know just where they go. Pure and cleaner.
Now using the most popular and eco-friendly cleaning solvents. 4 convenient locations to serve you. Savannah Countryside, Elgin Avenue, Georgetown, Centennial Towers, West Bay, and Eastern Avenue, Georgetown. Drive through, rain or shine. Free pickup and delivery. Call Puritan Cleaners, 949-7104. You feel good when you look good.
The time is now. The speed is here. March to the beat of the mobile revolution with Flow 4G LTE and a prepaid mobile combo plan. Activate a Flow prepaid mobile combo plan to get calling minutes and data in one convenient package. And every plan comes with double data. Enjoy the proven best overall experience in Cayman with a Flow prepaid mobile combo plan. Now with double data, coverage, value, speed. Flow 4G LTE. Always connected, always faster. Visit discoverflow.ky. Terms and conditions apply.
Pirates Cave and Eatery. Tune in Monday through Friday from 3 to 6 p.m. Exclusive. Radio Cayman's Super Jam Show, the #1 drive time entertainment show on your radio, featuring Will Sinatra. Enjoy a mix of pop, hip-hop, dancehall, and soca, and an entertainment trivia section.
Another proud sponsor of the Super Jam Show.
Pirates Cave and Eatery. Bring your family, satisfy your appetite, enjoy the ambience. This weekend, Cayman Up Close, a weekly special feature from Radio Cayman News.
I'm Shanda Gallego.
Shanda Gallego goes behind the scenes with Cayman's newsmakers, artists, and emerging talent to get their unique and personal experience, their real story.
This week, we turn the spotlight.
Sundays at noon, 6:10 p.m. and 10:10 p.m. and always online at radiocayman.gov.ky. Tune in for Cayman Up Close.
Cayman Up Close, brought to you by Cayman National Bank, proudly serving the Cayman Islands for over 40 years.
Talk today. But I do have some questions. Talk today.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners' participation program.
Talk today.
Because there are more questions than answers.
What the public is saying.
Waiting to take your calls right now. Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Good afternoon. Welcome back.
Definitely.
Thank you so much for joining us here for this month's See What I Saying. In the studio, joining Ray Bank and myself, Deal, Ebanks, and Ward Scott, and what's it, Texas Caymanians?
I don't know what y'all call yourself.
Texan?
K-Americans.
K-American?
Yeah.
I thought y'all were no different. I thought America was different than Texas.
Oh, it is, absolutely.
Yeah.
Now, we're focusing on Port Arthur.
Well, Port Arthur region, the Golden Triangle, apparently.
Triplex, if you like.
Triplex.
Yeah.
What is that? I don't know what a triplex is.
I'm bringing it back.
3 complex might be what it is.
Now, they're trying to do the tri-state area.
This will be available later.
The T-shirts.
All right.
Definitely mug and
merch.
Tobacco spitting platoons.
Right. So, Deal, you went there, but Ward, your sort of
yours is different now.
A little bit different. How did you end up there? Your people.
My peeps.
Came in a bag.
Yes. My dad was working. He left Cayman Brack when he was 16 without a pair of shoes. I heard this so much.
Tell it to us. I know you heard it before.
You try to imagine wanting a pair of Air Jordans when your dad had no shoes for. So he went to Panama Canal. He went to Panama, built the Panama. He helped on the Panama.
Oh, he
Canal.
actually worked there too?
Yeah, him and Uncle Edward.
What time period and what age we talking?
I don't know.
Roughly.
Wikipedia.
Fake it.
1807.
Okay,
No, it was
1807.
whenever it was the maintenance on the Panama Canal building. I don't know.
Oh, maintenance.
But he was an apprentice carpenter, and his whenever you became a full-time carpenter, everybody wanted a claw hammer that you could actually, when you put the nails in, you could pull it out too, because you used to have to do it two different things. So it was a Maydole hammer. Guess what my first name is?
Oh, Lord.
I'm named after a hammer.
Oh, God. I thought it was Montgomery Ward.
No, Maydole Ward. I'm named after a hammer.
All right.
Well, that's something to live up. That's something to live up. That's something to live up to.
You really are the hammer, Ward.
So he
is that the story you tell at the bars?
No, it's I try not to. Imagine having that name in school. Maydole.
I thought it was
off the table.
I thought you got so much trouble when you were young. You were like ward of the court. That's what I thought.
Hospital ward, maybe. So my dad, they went into court after early.
You named that.
So you heard it here first.
Yeah. All right, go ahead. Good. We got to call.
Go on.
Am I doing all right? Yeah.
No. To the mic.
It's my earphones.
So and then your father finally got to the Texas with a claw hammer. And
yeah, my mom was I'm the youngest of 6 kids. My dad just ran out of names, man, and I'm sure I was planned. So my dad he would go down to Port Arthur all the time. My mom was a photographer, and she worked at a drugstore processing film, and worked for Crickhill Studios down there.
I remember that.
Yeah, Crickhill, he's big time, man.
Oh,
yeah. And my dad used to bring my mom soap. Isn't that Spanish soap? You ever remember that with the little Spanish woman on it?
No.
Oh, come on.
No claw hammer, I don't.
So anyway, he used to bring it to her all the time. So finally, he asked her out.
Soap?
Yeah, man. He brings us stuff from all over the world.
I guess it's
exotic.
Yeah, exotic.
Stinky soap too. I know. And there's people out there know what I'm talking about.
Yeah. Okay.
And so finally, they got married, and my dad hadn't been home, and I think it's like 20 something years. And so he got
home as in
Cayman Brack.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah. So my mom, maybe 30. I don't know, man. But him and my mom went their honeymoon. They went to Cayman and Cayman Brack in Jamaica, and then they came back and they started having kids.
Uh-oh.
Yeah. You can time it out.
Hammers.
Maybe that's a good place to take this call. Let's go to our phones. Hey, good afternoon. Welcome. Thanks for calling.
Good afternoon to you, Sterling Gray, and good afternoon to Ray there, and those other young gentlemen there.
Good afternoon, sir.
Yes, sir. Good afternoon.
There's a Freeport in Texas, too. I think there's a small city west of
Freeport?
I think it's west of Galveston called Freeport.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's Freeport, Louisiana.
One is Freeport and one is Shreveport.
Shreveport.
Yes,
Freeport, it's down going towards, more towards Corpus Christi area. Yeah.
Several Caymanians went to the Panama Canal. My Uncle Joe, my father's older brother.
Did he have a Maydole hammer?
1890. And he went there. He went up to New York to live, really, but he went there and they built it between 1911 and 1913. And one of my father's brothers died. The other people there, too. Several people died. But,
a lot of them did, yeah.
That was very difficult those days with it. And also on the famous bridge that Mr. Flagler, Henry Flagler built to Key West. The 69-mile bridge is 1907, I think that was finished. Opened. My mother's father, a little bit older, he was on that. Went to work on that. Went to sea, but he back home on farm, really. And a lot of Caymanians, are coming, many descendants and great and great grandchildren and children are coming to Cayman to visit. I noticed in the last several years I've met several members of my family, most of the Eden family, my mother's side.
Those are the first ones, yeah.
And some left from 1920, deceased, but their grandchildren and great-grandchildren come out. But one of the things we got to remember, I know this is a dark side that no one likes to talk about, but this is a fact. A lot of white Caymanians, our families who left here, because we have white, black, brown, because the census was done in 3 colors. But a lot of the white Caymanians who left here in the early 1900s forbid your wife and families to talk anything, speak anything about Cayman, because there were people here who were colored and black. It was just when the third generations from those realized there was a lot of missing information, missing links, that they started to dwell into these things, and now they're coming out and questioning and asking questions and meeting their relatives, the black, the brown, the white, because, and the moment they said, but I knew about this from a long, long time ago, child, that they would forbid them to even speak or mention of Cayman, because there were colored family here and colored people here and black people, whatever you want to call it. So now it's coming home to roost. The people are coming home. I'm not for 1 minute suggesting that you young men are that way who are just coming home here, that your families were
I can suggest
like
it,
that,
yeah.
but I know some of mine, the white members were when they went here, and they forbid here. This is over 100 years ago, it would be, in 1903 now, that they speak anything about it. It's just when those who passed away and their wives were then able to talk something about it, and their children and grandchildren and so forth. And now they're coming home and finding, Cayman with a multicultural people, and the people getting on with and nothing like that anymore and enjoying it.
Yeah.
But those are facts. I'm just saying this because that's the reason why many did not know about Cayman before. Their children never heard about it or forbidden to say anything about it.
I don't think my dad.
Full day I listen on.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Your dad were white.
Yes.
Thanks for that.
Could he have possibly hid his nationality? How my dad talked?
Not once he opened his mouth.
Oh, you what you doing? I spent my entire life translating for that man.
Translate.
My brother Butch is like that too.
Going through the drive-thru at Dairy Queen, he'd go up there and he asked for a Coke, and they give him ice cream cones every time. I don't want no cones. I said a Coke.
But that's an important point that the caller just made up. You all are in the South, and I put in there too. There's a chapter the Ku Klux Klan in Beaumont.
No, in Viter,
yeah.
But the whole it is. I mean,
that is a thing. Is also the passing, because I know a couple of family members and things like that are passing in Texas.
Huh?
Passing. You're familiar with the term. Y'all familiar with the term? Y'all familiar with the term? Because you had a name. They had a name for you, but I don't know if you can. Can you PC that? What they all called you?
Oh, we.
No, no. We'll talk about it later.
7-second delay button. There.
Yeah, we'll talk about it later. We were beep beep.
But that's the thing, right? You see, maybe as we look at today and the context, especially our children and grandchildren, the generation now don't appreciate, as a caller just shared, the historical context 100 years ago.
That is something even my father, when he went the 60s and all that stuff, that's something. And I remember Captain Paul, when we did an exhibition on him, depending on where you went, you were a different color. You came back home, you light skin, you were whitish. You went to the south. Yeah. And then he said also, when winter came along, he didn't get no sun. He got fought from going into black. What do you call it? He talked about one night that he almost got jumped. He almost got jumped at a bar. They had something set up for him. This woman was setting up because he was supposedly quote unquote white in a black bar.
The Port Arthur, it is a unique. Janis Joplin's from there.
Yeah.
It's
ZZ
Top, all them dudes.
Yeah. We're not talking about ZZ Top though.
Yeah.
Man, come on, you can't talk about Texas unless you talk about ZZ Top.
What about Rushenberg?
Who else is there? We can talk about the artist Robert Rushenberg. We can talk about the Big
Bopper who died with
the Big Bopper. The Big Bopper was there too.
He died with Ricky.
He died in the crane crash when
with Buddy Holly.
Yeah, the music died. The La Bamba guy. Yeah, all of
them. They had a lot to sing about, man.
The athlete, the female athlete, Babe Zacharias.
Golfer.
Yeah, golfer, and then she was she was on that tour.
I think Janis Joplin
she was on the PGA
tour.
You want to film
No. I'm familiar, but we're losing our gas, right? Let's make sure we keep it. Because this is where I think, as we look at the
yeah, I know, I just
in
feel
particular,
like
right? And it's amazing the more we delve into our history, the more intriguing and sometimes the mysterious aspect of it coming out.
Dwayne, coming from a very intriguing and mysterious person yourself, that's
go on. To go back on that that subject that he was talking about with and then Mr.
The race thing?
About the race thing. When I moved down there, they were still going through segregation on moving children from one side of the town to the next side of the town, like that railroad track situation. 70s, and they would bus the black children for 2 hours from where they lived all the way to
Lincoln.
From Lincoln area, and that high school was all black. TJ was mixed, and then Port Neches was all white.
And Vesta was like the higher class. Like it was actually black flight.
Yeah,
it was rich black guys that would get their money in the oil plant, and they would go to college or anything. They would leave our neighborhood, and they had their
they went down and built a neighborhood down on the other side of Port Arthur.
It's crazy. It's in the South, but it's absolutely crazy mixed up. I mean, it's like its own little bubble.
But that's a port too, though. You find that in
port.
You got a lot of mixing in ports and stuff.
I had a lot of people that would ask me, "Well, what are you?"
Yeah.
And sometimes they would have little scuffles between the white and the black, and then
so where you gonna go?
The Mexicans would get.
Did you get beat up twice? Or?
No, I
didn't get beat up.
There was Mexicans too that they didn't know. They were sort of siding with the whites, and then the guys would fight on the field, and get out there and scruffle, and then the girls would sit and watch. I sat with the girls. I didn't know where to fit in there.
And I don't know. It was my dad. We never. I mean, I knew it was white. My skin, my color of my skin was, but it was always just a little bit different. Like we had when I went to TJ, when I went, you had to fill in the test, little bubble, your age, everything. And when it came down to nationality, I saw my dad's West Indian. I didn't see a bubble for it.
Yeah.
So
I used to make one.
So
I used to put beige.
They had one that said other.
Yeah.
And this buddy that sitting next to me, this black guy next to me, sees me filling it in. He goes, "What? Where's the other brother?"
And
so that was it for the rest. Yeah.
Speaking of that, when I went to Edison, they that's the middle school.
Yeah.
They didn't have no choice of other then. And I wrote other on my thing.
Yeah.
I couldn't fit into the Aleutian Islanders,
getting
American Indians,
Samoan or something.
And they had all of these different islands, but they didn't have nothing about Caymanian. So I just put other. Yeah. And the teacher called me up, "What is other?" I said, "Well, I don't see my choice here."
Nowadays, they don't even do that.
Yeah. Now
what pronoun?
When I got to TJ 2 years later, they had other as a choice, and then I just scratched that off.
So okay, when we got to take a break now. Yeah. So when we come back, you talk about where you went to school, if you did, and then also what. Get on your mic.
Come on now.
All right. Yeah, I know.
I got printer too. Missed my graduation.
I have a printer also.
When we come back, you guys can join us 1-800-534-8255. Stay tuned.
Congratulations, it's a boy.
During the greatest events of your life, whether or not you have the right health insurance coverage should be the last thing on your mind. That's why at Fidelity Health, we are committed to helping you get matched with the right plan to suit you and your family. We offer a range of plans to suit your budget, plus access to a network of quality care throughout the Caribbean and the USA. You can relax and enjoy life's greatest moments when you are covered with Fidelity Health. Call us today at 949-7822 for a free quote.
Nursing, education, social work, media studies, hospitality, electrical, plumbing, AC. Wow, I didn't even know that the University College of the Cayman Islands offered all that.
Yes, all that and more, as well as event management and QuickBooks. They also did customized training for our staff last month. Hey, didn't your son just graduate from high school? Take him so he can apply for the fall semester.
Pursue your academic and professional goals at UCCI. Admissions are ongoing. Classes start August 27th. Visit them or call 623-8224 to learn more.
Optical Outlook is so wicked.
They're brilliant. Tremendous.
So hot.
They're awesome.
Yo, them cool.
They're sweet.
Just ice, mate.
I love them like cooked food.
Head to Optical Outlook and find many designer brands for men and women. Sun safety and eye health care never look so good. They'll be able to help you find the best fit for your face and budget. Call 746-2020 and book your eye exam today. Come see the difference with Optical Outlook and make sure to follow them on Facebook and Instagram.
Honey, our fridge has stopped working again. Everything in the freezer is melting. We need to get this repaired right away. I'm calling Brand Source Service.
When you need the very best appliance service, call Brand Source Service at 623-5000. Offering service and installation of all brands and models of appliances. Brand Source Service is Cayman's source for appliance parts and repairs with qualified and experienced technicians and the island's largest stock of appliance parts. Brand Source Service will have your repair completed in a flash. So, whatever the problem is, call the experts at 623-5000. Brand Source Service, Dorsey Drive, Industrial Park. Telephone 623-5000.
Attention construction industry. Get affordable builders public liability and workmen's compensation insurance today with FIS Insurance Brokers, offering combined annual premiums starting as low as $700. Policies are required for registration with the Cayman Islands Builders Board. Contact FIS Insurance Brokers today for full details and to sign up for your policies ahead of the Builders Board deadline on July 31st. Call FIS Insurance Brokers on 623-5616. Visit the office at 196 Shedden Road, MoneyGram Building.
See Wha Ah Saying is a special feature of Talk Today with contributions from the National Museum, a language, history, and culture show on Radio Cayman 89.9 and 93.9 FM. See Wha Ah Saying?
Good afternoon, welcome back. Thanks for joining us as we have the good company of not just Ray Banker putting together an incredible amount of work. I want to speak to that now, Ray, because I don't think we understand the resources. But D. Ebanks Warscott joins us. Trying to collect this sort of thing, Ray, it's not Wikipedia or Google or even some of the resources. But sometimes
it's research is normally like three things. It's the archives. It's oral history, as in not oral history in the archive necessarily, but just word of mouth. You got to check out this story and blah, blah, blah. Then there's like the internet and actually any other source. I should say 4.
And this is the interesting part.
Within all them, somewhere is a truth.
All right. As we get, and
I'm not a professional.
No, Ward and Deal share with us. We have another guest, Ray, that we tapped into. Let's go to our phones.
Yeah, if we have.
Yeah, so we have on the phone. Do you know who we have on the phone?
Yeah, I think we have another Cayman Texan. We need a name for that. Texan?
No, let's just go to
the phones.
Maybe.
Brilliant.
Well, we're joining Paul Nixon, and maybe Paul, you can tell us how you would want to be Tech.
Are you on?
If you can hear me all right.
Yes, we're hearing you.
I'd,
You're on air.
I'd like to say K-Texan because I'm a Caymanian first.
Okay.
But Texas has got into my heart. So,
of course. Know where you're coming from, bro.
Well, that fried stuff will do that to you,
Yeah, I mean, I used to hate it at first, American football. And but, man, now I love it. I love the Cowboys. I love
there you go,
the Texans.
Daddy.
Longhorns. And let me tell you.
Longhorns, you see this?
You guys, a lot of you guys went to TJ.
Yes. Don't tell me you went to Port Neches.
Needland.
No, I went to Needland. I'm a Bulldog.
Hooterville.
And I was just going to say Needland and Port Neches has the oldest rivalry probably in the U.S. It's like the number one rivalry of any high school teams in the U.S. Amazing.
Okay. Well, you guys don't start a fight here, but just can you give?
Never really would
Bulldogs, man.
Paul, can you give us a little background of like when you left and the family names and why you went over there and things like that?
My family name is Nixon, but my mom and dad had divorced, and my mom remarried. She remarried Joseph Deegan. Everybody know him as Daggy. Anyway, he was a seaman as well, and his he shipped out for Texaco. His ship would go into Port Arthur, Texas every couple of weeks. So
What ship was he on?
he was on the Texaco, Connecticut. He was the chief pumpman on there.
And my dad was a quartermaster on the Maryland.
Oh, wow. Anyway, that was the reason we ended up in Port Arthur. And I remember the first time I went to Texas, it was back in 1968, 69. I was a little kid,
just was
probably
born.
around 10 or 11. And we flew to Miami, and then from Miami to New Orleans. And then we took a little prop plane from New Orleans to Lafayette, from Baton Rouge, Lafayette, Lake Charles, and then Beaumont. And a good buddy of mine, also Caymanian, he lived in Texas for quite a while. He's passed on now. A lot of you might know him. He was Derek Banks, good guy.
Yeah.
Anyway, me and him were on the plane, and we were flying in at night. You know, it was coming in late, and we looked down and we saw, oh man, beautiful lights, and I said,
Everybody gets
be a beautiful city. So the next morning we got up and we looked out, man, there was nothing but a bunch of oil refiners.
And the smell.
And chemicals and the smell.
We were a little bit disappointed, but
a little bit.
we got over it.
I heard that at one time at Lamar University, the university in Beaumont, they at the graduation they had it outside, and it's so close to the oil refineries that the stockings ran out of elasticity.
They
elasticity,
melted.
yeah, and they were falling off. Yeah.
Wow.
That's how bad the chemicals were.
Yeah, that's something to be said. It's not the prettiest place. It's an industrial town, isn't it?
Oh yeah,
the area.
It's an oil refinery.
Yeah, absolutely.
So Paul, like, living there, as Ray was asking, I mean,
how was it? Sorry, how was it coming from Cayman to going? Did you? I mean, what kind of? How was the adjustment period?
I remember going to Woodrow Wilson in Port Arthur. I was in fifth grade, and I didn't know anything about prejudice, or I didn't know what that was. And I remember I had a white friend and a black friend, and they asked me what color was I. I looked at them, I looked at myself, and said, "I'm brown." And I walked off.
Or beige.
I didn't know. You know, we're all, most Caymanians we're Heinz 57. We're a mixture.
Yeah.
And but you know, the people. There's a lot of good people in Texas. You know, there's some bad ones there too, like you guys I heard talking about Inviter.
Yeah.
You know, but I think things are gotten a bit better, hopefully.
Yeah, Needle and Inviter, you guys had a bad rivalry.
Yeah. They still do. Still have a get it on.
So how long before you would say you were settled? Like, were you homesick? Did you sort of go, oh, this is not going to work when you went over there?
Well, I mean, I was 11 years old, 10, 11 years old, and
TV.
We had television.
3 stations.
And after about a year, my family, we moved to Nederland, and grew up in that area. It was, like you were saying, a lot of white folks.
That's all white.
Yeah, I remember getting in a fight one time in school, and it was they couldn't understand where I was from. I kept telling them I'm from Cayman, and they said, "You're from the Canary Islands." Oh man, that just set me off, and I got in a fight with one guy over that. But
Grand Canyon was my favorite.
Grand Canyon.
Oh, you're from Grand Canyon?
Man, you had to adapt or
die.
Exactly. So I ended up pretty soon talking like him, and it wasn't on purpose, but it was a matter of survival.
Okay, so that was a thing too. Your accent gave you away, obviously.
Yeah.
And they had trouble with that, huh?
Yeah.
And you're from what district are you from? In the Caymans.
Well, I was born in Georgetown and grew up in Georgetown, right by just Baden's Road area, Copper Boilers they call it. All the rum making and stuff they would do up in there. A lot of Bawdens when I was growing up around my neighborhood. A lot of good people.
A lot of Bawdens in Nederland.
Yeah.
Bowden and Bawden.
That's what I was going to ask, too. What are some of the names, what Cayman names are up there now in Texas? Some of the families?
Well, there's still some Bawdens there, some Jacksons.
Some Hennings.
Yeah. There's a
bunch of Ebankses.
A couple of Marins and also there's Eldemeyer and some Rivers.
Okay.
And the Banks, like you were mentioning about Derek, his sister Carol, sister Carol, and Parsons, a lot of Parsons.
Yeah, a lot of Parsons up there.
And
Georgia Parsons.
The fence company, was that Foster? Yeah. Fence company? They got huge.
Ask him.
Yeah, do you remember it was a hurricane fence company?
Yeah, I remember that.
And they started out, they were Caymanians, but they started out in around our area, Southeast Texas, and they just blew up, man. They're everywhere, all over the...
they have Foster
Hurricane
Village subdivisions.
Fences, yeah.
Yeah, I think there's a Foster's there too, I think. Or not a Foster's.
Food Fair?
No, they're Foster's, the family.
Yeah, they have a lot of Fosters. They developed out there right close to Nederland. You know, they had that big development on the other side of the railroad track with the upper middle class homes, and then they had the development there in Port Arthur, Foster Estates.
Right. Yep. Now, Paul, are you able? I know your schedule today is quite taxing. You want to join us some more? Or this is it for you now for this afternoon?
No, I can hang on a bit more.
All right, appreciate it. We have a news break. Let's go to that and see if the breaking news announced whether... I shouldn't say that. Stay tuned for See What I Say.
Radio Cayman.
Radio Cayman's newsroom. Headline. These are the biggest stories right now.
The RCIPS is launching its annual local recruitment drive on July 23rd, targeting Caymanians and permanent residents between the ages of 18 and 40 with no restrictions to work. To find out if you qualify, visit their website at rcips.ky. Applications may also be dropped off in person at the police headquarters at 82 Shen Road on the 4th floor of the Americo Building in Elizabethan Square. You can also fill them out and submit them online. In international news, nerve agent victim Charlie Rowley has been released from the hospital after 3 weeks of treatment since being poisoned. That according to UK officials, who said the 45-year-old was discharged after making substantial progress in recent days. Officials say Rowley and his partner Don Sturgis fell ill June 30th after being exposed to the nerve agent Novichok when they handled a container thought to have been used in the March nerve agent attack on former Russian spy Sergei Skripal and his daughter Yulia. The 44-year-old Sturgis died in the hospital on July 8th. Divers found 4 more bodies today in a Missouri lake where a duck boat packed with tourists capsized and sank in high winds, bringing the death toll to 17 in the country and western town of Branson. Investigators blame stormy weather for the accident Thursday on Table Rock Lake. Winds at the time were blowing as hard as 65 miles an hour. Thousands of people were without power today after a flurry of unexpected tornadoes swept through central Iowa, injuring at least 17 people and flattening buildings in 3 cities. The storm surprised even weather forecasters when they hit the region Thursday afternoon, causing extensive damage to a manufacturing plant and prompting the evacuation of a hospital. The National Weather Service in the U.S. said today at least 5 tornadoes touched down. Those are your headlines. From Radio Cayman's newsroom, I'm April Cummings.
Radio Cayman, the voice of the Cayman Islands.
What's happening in your community? News and information, music and more. You can find us. www.radiocayman.gov.ky. Like us on Facebook and follow us on Twitter. Radio Cayman is your choice, your voice for today's biggest news. Radio Cayman.
It's hard. Being a parent is demanding, not to mention trying to keep a roof over our heads and food on the table. I needed help, and the Ministry of Education was able to provide it for my child to attend preschool. From one parent to another, if you need the financial help, submit your application today to find out if you qualify for preschool funding assistance.
If you have a child who is 3 years old but not yet 4 by September the 1st, you may be eligible to receive funding. Application forms can be collected from the Government Administration Building, the Department of Education Services, all early childhood centers, and may be found on the Ministry of Education's website at www.education.gov.ky. If you need more information about this government assistance program, please do email ecap@gov.ky. That's ECAP@gov.ky, or call 244-5724.
Sometimes things just don't go as planned. That's why you need Contractors All Risk Insurance from Fidelity Insurance Brokers. Ensure you're covered in the event of property damage and third-party injury or damage claims during your construction projects. And with Fidelity Insurance Brokers, you can be sure you are getting competitive pricing and superior customer service. Call us today for a free quote. Fidelity, we're good for you.
When it comes to designing a kitchen or a bath, functionality and style should be at the center of your design. Declutter, improve lighting, change cabinets, increase storage, and show your style with the help from experts at Brand Source Home Gallery. Save 20% on the finest cabinets and fixtures this July for Kitchen and Bath Month at Brand Source. The design team can help create the perfect personal spa retreat and help design your functional kitchen, whether designing from scratch or renovating your home. Stop by Brand Source Home Gallery, Dorsey Drive, to save 20% on kitchen and bath cabinets and fixtures.
How would you describe Wha Ah Saying?
A language, history, and culture show on Radio Cayman 89.9 and 93.9 FM.
Okay, I like that definition. Now let's get back to the show.
Wha Ah Saying?
Good afternoon, welcome back. Thanks for joining us. With Ray Banker, we have our guests, D. Lee Banks, Ward Scott, and on the phones, Mr. Paul Nixon. Paul, thanks for sticking around, man. You should have been in the studio.
Yeah, I should be.
or maybe not.
Or maybe not. But you were sharing with us, as Ray was asking.
Yeah, how, like when you left Cayman and your first sort of impressions at Texas, and what are some things? I always I laugh at your that city, that great city that you saw from the sky at night. But what some of the other things we need to know about Port Arthur and or the surrounding area and Caymanians there and the connections?
Well, I know a lot of people went to TJ and started out. I had a friend of mine that also went to school there. He should be also on this show as well, because he's got a lot of history with growing up in that area. He, like myself, married a Texas girl, and in particular, my wife went to TJ also.
Wait, hold on, where's TJ? Can you remember there's some people that don't know the alphabet as well as you all?
Thomas Jefferson for one.
He's from England. He should not be talking about that.
Yeah, Thomas Jefferson High School. Yeah. But,
and don't mix us up in any sort of regional fights here that you all, with the alphabet and all that stuff. but sorry, you were saying TJ, Thomas Jefferson.
That's the high school.
High school.
Yeah.
No, he went to Needland.
I went to Needland, but there was always a rivalry and stuff going on. A lot of times, there wasn't any fights or anything, but there was good rivalries. Their Indians did steal our bulldog mascot and that sort of thing.
Yellow Jackets from the TJ.
Yeah, well, the Bulldogs, they dropped to 4A, so we never had to go up anymore.
But, Paul, as I listen to you and Ward and Deal, and for the wider audience, we recognize that Caymanians, as we said at the outset, tended to go to a lot of the port cities, and still many are in the States particular, but globally. From what you saw then and now, are there still a lot of the Caymanians who initially went overseas, say the Port Arthur in particular, who are now back home in Cayman? When you look at the population that are here now, still a fair bit here, or you think they're more over there?
I think it's a mixture, because I remember Mr. Jim Bodden coming to one of the Cayman nights in Port Arthur, and he was saying, a lot of you young Caymanians should come back home, and well, I ended up my work career started with my my stepdad Joe, he got me a job as a longshoreman. Worked for a guy called Bullet, of all things. Well, you would figure in Texas, a guy called Bullet. But we did longshore and loading up the ships with supplies and cleaning tanks and on the tankers and all that sort of thing.
Man,
Then,
that's hard work.
yeah, later on I got in. I was a pipe fitter, so I saw a lot of the refineries and all kind of things. But yeah, I'd say a lot of people came back. I remember back in the early '80s when I came back home, the oil industry had collapsed, and I couldn't buy a job at the refineries and working. And I told my wife, I said, look, I'm going back home. I said, I know I can get a breadfruit and catch some fish. So,
maybe.
Yeah, exactly. Well, those days you could.
Yeah, this season actually you could too, but
anyway,
that was a lot.
We moved back and been here ever since. So happy about it.
You moved back in the 80s, Paul?
Yeah, I came back in 84.
Yeah, I know we moved out of Port Arthur in like 78, 77, and the place got sort of a ghost town. I remember somebody saying, the last one out of Port Arthur, please cut off the lights.
Well, I was still there.
Well, I remember.
That was your job to cut off the lights, boy.
With your brother deal, Butch. Man,
Bush.
we had some good times. He had a Trans Am, a white Trans Am, and I had a Dodge Polara 383 4-barrel.
And you two guys are still alive.
Yeah, we're still alive. We raced that one night, and he barely beat me, but I had a big old sedan.
A green one, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was green.
If I'm not mistaken, wasn't that a Trans Am in the driveway under a tarp?
A
little accident.
A GTO.
Now, so, Paul, while you were there, I mean, you were there, as you said, 10, 11. Your parents took you. There's no choice. Well, your mother, there was no choice in going. You're there. You're adopted as your home. You still have in your heart. But all along, did you ever think you would want to come back, or just circumstance?
So was Cayman sort of still in the back of your mind?
Can't get it out of your mind.
Paul?
Home in my sophomore year of high school, and I was glad I did it because it reconnected me with my Cayman roots and my Caymanian friends. I went to Triple C and
I will forgive you for that.
Yeah, sorry about that.
Yeah. From Midland to Triple C.
Yeah, well, I mean, to this day, though, I'm still invited to their graduations, and there's some good people at Triple C. I don't care what y'all say.
Okay.
Yeah, man.
Well, I grew
up. All right, move on.
Mine was the other way because I heard about Cayman all my life, and I mean, dreamt about coming here.
Mm-hmm.
Heard about all the stories and everything. Imagine coming from Port Arthur and swimming in that beach.
I got a story for you on that.
I remember when I came here and I hopped off of a boat for the first time over the side with this mask. I thought I was going to fall.
Because you could see the bottom.
It was amazing.
But so, Paul, tell us about the visits back. How many visits back to Cayman did you have? Like, how often that happened?
I would try to get back as often as I could, like on a yearly basis, for the summers and that sort of thing, as much as I could.
Mm-hmm. So you saw all the changes then, huh? The 70s?
I did see a lot of changes, yep. I mean, it was... I wish the only thing I regret was...
not buying a piece of beach land?
Yeah, exactly.
But that's two things.
You can't grow nothing on the beach.
Telling my dad, why didn't he buy some of that beach land? Well, you couldn't grow nothing on that beach, son.
Yeah, exactly. My dad.
Apparently, can grow condos pretty good, though.
Yeah, I'm telling you.
Yeah, they grow by the stories every day.
So, what? Sorry, I missed what you said. You regretted. Sorry.
Well, I regretted that I couldn't have gotten to my dad and told him to buy some land on the beach. That's about it. But there's a lot of great folks in Port Arthur, and a lot of Caymanians are still there,
mm-hmm.
and a lot of connections. And we Caymanians, we spread out throughout the world. I mean, we're all over just about. We got a lot of Cayman, Honduran, in particular the Bay Islands as well.
Yeah.
They're
San
like
Andreas as well.
cousins and that sort of thing, brothers and that sort of.
That's what we were talking about earlier. We think probably Islands is probably the biggest population of Caymanian descent or diaspora, but then maybe Port Arthur in Texas is probably the next one. You think?
Yeah, I would say so. I
mean, it's funny. Our land mass isn't big, but I mean, Cayman is spread, throughout the whole region. I would say.
Yeah, I mean, just about every port,
Up on the East Coast too.
Yeah.
I was asking about the UNA word. That's what my dad said. Yeah, you could always sell Cayman. He'd be anywhere near that. You could find a Caymanian.
UNA, come here now.
So, Paul, as I certainly wanted to respect your time and appreciate your contribution. Anything else you want to share with us so that we don't neglect you?
Is there anything bad about Deal that you want to share on air?
No.
Or Ward?
No.
Or Ray? That we can't find on the mugshots. What you call it?
Deal's a good guy, man. He's a good one.
Yeah, there's a lot of records.
I love you too, Paul. Thanks for that. You can cash the check now.
Quickly.
Yeah, quickly. Well, your brothers now. I might have to.
They're good guys too, man.
Yeah,
they just got bad habits, maybe.
That's another check.
No, it's in the mail.
Yeah.
Yeah, Laline used to babysit.
But one thing I would like to say, and it's on a bit of a sad note. I'd like to give Sterling my condolence for his mother-in-law's passing. She was such a sweet lady. Especially to his wife as well.
Yeah, I'll echo that.
Yeah, thanks, man. Thanks.
Well, guys, it's great talking to you, man. This is you ought to do a reunion every now and then.
Hey, Paul, I was thinking, I said we could have a Texas night here in Cayman instead of a Cayman night there in Texas.
Well, that's an idea. Bring some of them down. There's some good folks like a good friend, my stepdad's Donnie or Eldon Bodden. Comes down every now and then and
get Kim and we can get all other side.
Can you guys do that without country music though?
No.
Really?
Well, hey, Texas, man. I went to a lot of great concerts in Texas. A friend of mine, Billy Farrington. He's a
Billy.
Yeah, he's a K-Texan, and man, ZZ Top.
There you go.
Seen them playing in Lamar.
I saw him.
We got to get back to Z.
Gillette.
The winner.
All right, Paul, man. Thanks so much, right?
All right, guys. Y'all have a good day.
All right.
Okay, thanks for that, Paul.
Now, Susan says we have another caller. Susan introducing the caller for us. All right, let's go join this call. Good afternoon. Welcome.
It's ZZ Top.
Good afternoon. How are you?
Very well. Thank you for calling, Mom.
Yes, I'm Irene Scott Thornton.
Yeah.
And I am actually Ward's sister.
Oh.
So
older
he's the younger
sister.
brother, but he got on air. Anyway.
So what are all the things you can tell us about him that you normally
I don't want to. I don't think I want to do that, except that he and I came out here together in the early '80s, and that was his first chance to get to see the Cayman Islands. I'd been out earlier. And I just wanted to speak to the fact that the Caymanian women, even the Texas women that ended up marrying a lot of the Caymanian seamen, and there were some Caymanian wives as well that the Caymanian seamen brought to Texas.
Yeah.
But they grew up very much a lot like I call them sea widows. They're raising the children just like the women did in the old days here, and the man's at sea. Yeah. And the children are crying, and the man's coming home whenever the ship came into port. So a lot of times, the ship would run from New Jersey or the East Coast and then go through the Panama Canal out to the West Coast, and you wouldn't see Daddy for 6 months.
Yeah,
and so
dropping off at the Texaco gate, man, rip your heart out.
And we'd go to the gate sometime to pick him up, hearing that the ship was coming in, and we'd all be clinging to the hurricane fence there with our fingers through it, just piercing eyes, trying to be the first one to see Daddy. Yeah, just dying to see that man walk through with his single suitcase and him not come through when he was supposed to, and then go up to the guard and find out that at the last minute the ship got sent to, Baton Rouge, to Lake Charles. So life was really, in that way, life was really tough for us that were married. I mean, that had dads that were married to Texas women that, were at sea. But another neat thing that I remember from growing up is that if anybody had a cassava plant growing in their yard,
you knew it was Cayman.
Oh yeah,
they were king. They were king because the weather wasn't quite, the temperature wasn't quite low enough in Texas to really grow cassava good. So I remember my dad and his cousin, the late Dorley Bodden, that had relocated there, having competitions because while they were gone to sea, they had to depend on the rain and one of the kids or the busy wife to remember to keep the plant watered. But they would be so proud of their big root of cassava that the agriculture show here would probably laugh at and think wouldn't even need to be entered. It was so small, but they would be
carrot
so
size. Those gardens.
They would be so proud of that cassava, and then of course they had to take it around first after you show it to everybody.
Take pictures.
Yeah, and there wasn't a rose bush anywhere. You can't eat that.
And then they'd share it up a little bit, and or they'd get corn growing in their yard or something. You could still see that tradition for growing your own vegetables.
Great.
My dad went all the way for the banana trees, man.
I remember.
And then winter hits.
Yeah, actually, Deal's mother in the back of their yard in Houston, they've got one seed out there. Come in it. I don't know. But yeah, let's talk. This is something I forgot to ask Paul and all the other the guests here. What about Cayman food? You familiar with any? What did you get?
We never had we didn't have Cayman food till Daddy came home, unless we got invited somewhere. But we grew up on fish dinner, and I thought it was the best thing I'd ever tasted in my life.
Yeah, well, that's because it is.
Yeah, it is. And he would sometimes they'd throw a line off the boat and ship, and if Dad knew he was coming to port, he was always trying to fish. And one year he came in with a kingfish that was humongous. And he wanted so bad to show the kids the head, but it would have been too big to carry all that off the boat. So he put it in with the cook. The cook agreed to put it on the freezer, and he brought that home. And I think we had on that kingfish almost his whole break home. He had 6 weeks home. And of course, he had to share, with his cousin and a couple other close people. Whenever a new Caymanian would move, a lot of times the men would meet on the boat, and then they would talk about their wives or their families were in whichever port, and then the wife would find out. So then you would go seeking out another Caymanian family.
Okay.
And that's a lot how we met Deal's parents. There were some other connections there, but...
So what you're saying, you regret that type of practice now?
Yeah. It's more.
She said my parents.
Okay.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay, that's
you
cool.
get that.
Sorry. Forgive me. These two boys here, they'll always be young.
Yeah, I know they will. They think so. Since my birth date is reversing now. I'm soon to be younger than Ward. But yeah, Dill ended up living across the street from us, and his sister was one of my very best friends. And of course, when she got married, she had to come back here to get married, and I didn't get to come to the wedding. So she came back with these little squares of really dark, flat-looking cake, and she says, "This is some of my wedding cake I brought you." Me not knowing anything about the tradition of sending a piece of cake. With your guest home, and she brought it all the way from Cayman, and I looked at it, and it was the strangest wedding cake I've ever seen. Because in Texas, wedding cakes are white, fluffy, with white icing.
Yeah.
And this was the heavy fruit cake, the dark, heavy fruit cake, and it had a nice icing on it. And I tasted that, and I went, "Oh my goodness, what is this?" And so I had to learn all about that from her.
So you thought fish dinner was something until you tasted the cake, huh?
No, I didn't know anything about it, and then I found out about cassava cake, and I felt like I'd gone to heaven.
Yep, that's in your genes.
Yeah, one thing that I wanted to share, and I shared this with Neil the other day, but we know so much about the turtles here, and they're so much part of our history, and the fact that they come here for generations and generations. They go back to where they were born, and I'm not a turtle, but I like the analogy. It was as if my family, the kids, were displaced turtles, okay, with a great desire to get back to the shore, to get back home. And I think that just was talking to Deal, and he said, yeah, the same thing he experienced, and I'm sure Ward did. There was this driving desire to come back and live in the islands and be a part of the culture here and a part of the islands. Mm-hmm. And so that's why so many of us, even though we had the greatness, shall we say, of the United States and all the shopping malls and freeways and culture and all that, we gave it all up to come here. You know, we wanted this lifestyle. We were island people. Even though we might have had a Texan mother, I think the Caymanian side overruled most of us, and we made our way back. And quite a few people I grew up in high school had made their way here, too, which was several years before Ward graduated.
Ward is your younger brother. I see why now.
Very much younger.
Yeah. Well, Miss Irene,
thanks for that.
Yeah, you've added tremendously. Yeah. Anything else you wanted to share with us?
Let me think. I would probably say that being back in Cayman and being able to fully live here is probably the greatest joy that I've had. I was able to... Joy. My dad was from the Brac, which you've already heard earlier in your show, but I was able to go to Cayman Brac and actually live there for about 8 years and really get down to the bare necessities of life and get a really good idea of what life was like for him, almost like what it was for him, and meet so many of the family there and meet the last living, relative brother of my grandfather and things like that. And there's just nothing like being able to get back to your heritage and start putting people's names and look at your family tree and see where you came from and who your relatives are. And it's something that I would wish for anybody who cares about, their heritage here is to make a trip and spend some time getting to know where their roots really are.
So just one more question. How were you received, like, so people that didn't know your family, didn't know your background with that accent? How were you received when you told them you were Caymanian?
Well, I really wasn't Caymanian because I wasn't born there.
Yeah.
See, that's how they look at it. If you're not born here, you're not really Caymanian.
Yeah.
So it took them a while, and then they knew my dad and my cousins and, my aunts and some of the older people. And so then they started accepting me. But you had to be very careful to say that you were Caymanian. You could say you were a Caymerican or a K-Texan, and you'd be okay. But if you claimed that you were Caymanian, it was a struggle for the population there.
Okay.
Don't have much trouble with it here. But yeah, that was different, and it was different. Their society is so much smaller than the society here. So it was a different experience to live there. But it's a beautiful island, and I'm distressed that so many people from here don't even, haven't even been over there to see it.
Yeah, yeah.
So you didn't say you were a Braca?
Bravo.
Yes, I tried. As I said, I'm a Bracker. It took me about 4 years before I could say I was a Bracker, and it was okay for the person hearing it. Yeah.
You probably should have told them, say, try some of my fruitcake or some of this fish dinner. Then they go, okay.
Well, that was my big problem because I was going to still make a Texas fruitcake because I never did learn how to make the Caymanian fruitcake.
We've got to do that.
Yeah, but I have learned to make a lot of the other food, and the Cayman nights up in Port Arthur was a lot of the children's first exposure to even, the music from down here.
Yeah.
We'd never even heard, calypso music or reggae music or any type of Caribbean music, and it was quite a different experience for us to hear it.
Yep.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for sharing it. I think this is what helps us to inform our history and culture. Thank you very much, Mom. And then
you're welcome.
Enjoy your weekend, all right?
Bye, Irene.
All right. We got a 90-second break. A couple of callers online. Be right back to you. Please stay tuned.
South Coast Bar and Grill up in Breakers, man, that is the place. For traditional Cayman cuisine, oh, you will love the taste. At South Coast Bar and Grill, we got conch and lobster and turtle stew. And every Sunday, come out with your family for the barbecue.
Enjoy dining by the sea in the relaxed, tranquil atmosphere with local food specials every day and karaoke every Saturday night with Cayman Elvis.
For Cayman and cuisine, the talk today is South Coast Bar and Grill.
nursing, education, social work, media studies, hospitality, electrical, plumbing, AC. Wow, I didn't even know that the University College of the Cayman Islands offered all that.
Yes, all that and more, as well as event management and QuickBooks. They also did customized training for our staff last month. Hey, didn't your son just graduate from high school? Take him so he can apply for the fall semester.
Pursue your academic and professional goals at UCCI. Admissions are ongoing. Classes start August 27th. Visit them or call 623-8224 to learn more.
Did you hear that Vant Motors has your sale going on now? And you get your choice on the money you'll save on your new car or truck?
My sale? My choice? Really?
Yeah! And they have lots of cars on sale. Some up to $7,000 off.
Sounds pretty good.
It gets even better. You can choose to take the full discount or you can get some or all of it as cash back.
Extra cash back would be great.
Exactly! And you can even use the savings to extend your warranty or service plan so you'll drive worry-free for years longer.
Another good idea.
If you want to upgrade with something like a new roof rack or backup camera, you can choose that too.
Wow, I get to choose?
Yeah, that's why it's your sale, your choice. Going on now at Vant Motors on Walkers Road, while stocks last. King Sports Center's Art of Fun Summer Camp is back from July 3rd to August 3rd. Now in its 14th year, the Art of Fun Camp is ideal for kids aged 5 through 10 with activities from football, basketball, dodgeball, squash, rock climbing, arts and crafts, dance, singing, and more. Your child can stay cool while having fun in a safe and secure environment. For more info, email kings.rebanks@gmail.com. That's kings.brebanks@gmail.com. Or call 946-KING, like King's Sports Center on Facebook, and you can also find them on Instagram, or call 946-5464. King's Sports Center, providing you with all your fitness, recreation, and relaxation needs.
Young World Fashion Closing Sale is on now. Take 50% of all items. Ladies, 50% of all skirt sets, pant sets, casual and work blouses, skirts and dresses. For the men, dress suits as low as $87.50. Shirts, dress and casual pants. 50% of all children blue school sweaters, white shirts and polo shirts, white blouses and khaki pants. 50% off everything in the store. Sale ends August 18th. Young World Fashions is located on Eastern Avenue or call 949-6313.
Hey, young world, the world is yours.
See Wha Ah Saying is a special feature of Talk Today with contributions from the National Museum, a language, history, and culture show on Radio Cayman 89.9 and 93.9 FM. See Wha Ah Saying?
Hey, good afternoon. Welcome back. Thank you so much for joining us. And thanks both to Ward Scott and D.D. Ebanks for sitting in with us. They're saying hi to the camera. I don't know why, but of course we've got our callers online scheduled, but we also have some other callers. Let's go to our phone. Say good afternoon, welcome, thanks for calling. Hello, good afternoon.
Hello.
No. Hey, welcome, thank you for sharing. Okay, we got that call. I know Miss Susan had, tucked them in. Okay. Hey, good afternoon. Yes, sir.
Hey, how you doing?
Very well, welcome.
Is Ward still on the show with you?
Yeah, we kept him on. He's still here.
Unfortunately, huh?
What's he found, Ward?
Hey,
who's
Ward.
This?
Yeah. This is Terry.
Oh, another Nederland one.
The redneck from across town.
Yeah, from Nederland.
On the other side of the railroad tracks.
For our listeners who are here, you're actually calling in from Port Arthur?
Nederland.
Yes.
Okay.
We're still there. We're still here after that hurricane last year.
All right, man. Well, we appreciate you listening all across the pond and sharing with us, man. Thanks, man. So, give us a perspective.
So you have all the dirt on Ward? Is that the call?
We got a little bit on it.
Don't you make me flip it.
Just a little bit. I don't know if I can tell some of that stuff.
We don't have time right now.
Yeah.
Or the legal fund.
Trinity Baptist Church, all those choir practice.
Yeah. Had a lot of fun with Ward growing up.
How's Port Arthur now? Because you're a fireman.
Port Arthur is coming back right now. Still steadily building, but by far not done, but it's coming back.
Back from the flooding, or back from the 1975 lights out?
Ooh, I don't know about that.
And there's a
the floods pretty much wiped out a a lot of people in Port Arthur. It was a terrible, terrible incident. I don't know how else to change it. It was what it was. We never expected it to be like that, but it got bad. I worked for the city of Port Arthur Fire Department, so it was an interesting ordeal, to say the least.
All right, now for us who are listening on this end who don't quite get the connection of, not just you in Port Arthur, but you in Port Arthur and Cayman, give us that picture, please. As Susan would say, who are you from?
Yeah.
But not really.
Ward. We'll let Ward do it?
Yeah, okay, Ward.
He hung around a bunch of us. Like every time my family, anybody would come down, we all hung around together. So these guys, they grew up hearing about Cayman. They'd never been, and and now they've all made a trip here, and they see what it's all about. Growing up with all these guys in here talking about Cayman, but too poor to come, and you finally get in life, and a lot of them, the first place they went is Cayman.
So Terry, don't be kind, but another Ward was there. Was he exaggerating, or did he live up to the hype when you first got him?
No, not a bit. Ward understood greatly that as long as he was a minor, he could get away with pretty much anything.
My kids are listening to this.
My kids.
No, he wants to.
The world's not the same anymore. We were the last generation that could pretty much get away with just looking cute and getting by.
Yeah. It's
not anymore. It's not like that in the States no more.
Yeah. Now, in this instance, right, with Ward, coming from, Cayman Islands, settling in Texas and Port Arthur, all places, meeting you guys, forming long-lasting life, genuine friendships. Two individuals growing up together. For people today, they don't see that, even though there may be some differences, you don't see those. You actually see all the similarities, right?
I agree. It's been probably 2 years or so since I've seen Ward, and before that it was probably 8 or 10. But anytime I get a chance to speak with him or go hang out with him, I still do.
Yeah. And where did you just come back from vacation?
Anymore. I actually went to Jamaica.
Yeah.
Because I didn't know you were in Cayman.
Yeah. So okay, sorry, we're breaking up. We're breaking up. Something with the connection.
If I would have known you were there.
Yeah. I kind of snuck in.
But you pick up, when you see it, you just pick up where you left off the line before, whether it's 2 years or 8 years, huh? Yeah.
Yes.
But maybe not after this, though. He might forgive you. I can understand that.
Now that you travel to other Caribbean countries, you can can you tell there's a difference between, say, some of the Caribbean
Crystal Beach and
yeah.
Yeah. It's you guys, hanging out and just doing the things that locals do whenever we go to the Caymans or to the anywhere in the Caribbean. I start thinking that raising my own children that way might be a better idea than staying here in the States with all the extras and just the things that we don't really even need. There's too much stuff. Everybody needs to slow down and get on island time every once in a while.
Well, just looking at some of the photos and stuff from Port Arthur now, current, you might be doing that now if you stay in Port Arthur. A lot of things that you're doing without, like paint and like sheetrock.
I don't know how many more of these storms I'm going to take. There's just been too many of them.
Yeah. Well, if you come down here, I can't tell you that you're not going to have any. But one thing is,
but it drains over there.
That's so true.
But tell me something. Now that you've hung out with Caymanians, it sounds like a lot. What can you sort of say from your perspective? What's the different thing? What's different about us? Because that's just something that I know it is, but I can't put my finger on it. What you know what I'm saying? What I'm trying to ask?
I think it's more of a grasp of that money doesn't necessarily mean that you're better or worse or any of that. It's separate, and it doesn't play as big of a part. People can be people and hang out and have a good time together, whereas in the States these days, it's so cliquish now that if you got money, you don't associate with people who don't, and if you don't have money, you don't associate with people that do have it. So, I don't know. I mean, that's what I grasp whenever I'm in the Caribbean. Just people getting along and the unity and everything.
Cool.
Yeah, well, you can move between things. It's the people, their disposition.
I mean, I talk to you. I do.
Oh,
Talk to Dwayne.
Terry, I think I'm going to exchange houses with you, man.
You would definitely want to do that. I want some of his toys, man.
Yeah. As Ward was sharing, man. But what else would you like to tell, not just Ward, but our listeners here? What would you like to share with us?
Them storms, they play a big part in a lot of our lives.
Yeah.
And even though you're 2,000 miles from where we're at, we still
get the same
we got to
ones.
keep getting beat down by them, and just keep on. Don't give up.
Thanks,
The
man.
storms don't.
And that's the thing, is, see, we don't recognize
No,
that
they're
we're
not
here.
going to stop.
Yeah. That Gulf is a big area, whether you're coming across and bring the boat over, or whether you're just out there. We're here, and when something affects us, it can affect, friends and family who are just next door, 2,000 miles or 2 minutes away.
And that's something that doing my little research here, that's something that came up from a report like 100 years ago, that we share hurricanes in common.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's not now. Yeah. It's not just now, and it wasn't just before. It's gonna be again,
And if it's heading towards us, and everyone's concerned about us all over the world, and so it starts heading towards the States, and everybody forgets about us.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
It's going to Baton Rouge. Lake Charles is coming up.
Yeah.
Hey, thanks very much, Terry, man.
It's funny about these storms. Sometimes I catch myself praying, "Oh Lord, just send that storm a little south to Brownsville or something like that."
Jeez.
Let it hit Corpus Christi or something.
Oh man, that's hey Terry, thanks very much, man.
Love you, brother. Thanks for your service.
All right,
Hey,
man.
thanks for having me on, and Ward, take care, buddy. Keep in touch.
All right, brother.
All right, all the best, man.
Cool.
All right, let's go to our other line. Hey, good afternoon. Welcome. Thanks for calling.
Hey, good afternoon. Am I on the air?
Yes. not anymore. Not anymore.
I was hoping I would pass from Texas as well. You know what I mean?
Y'all fixing to leave?
Yeah. Hey, good afternoon to you, gentlemen, man.
Good afternoon.
I tell you, some good laughing going on.
You see doing a break.
Yeah. Listen, I'm just calling to say thoroughly enjoying the show, man, and just to share some thoughts that I had particularly when Mrs. Scott Thornton called. And I couldn't help it. What triggered it is when she said that, she couldn't say that she was a Caymanian because she wasn't born here. And I almost I'm calling to say that don't feel bad because they're telling us those that are born here that we're not Caymanian either. So we're a bit confused and messed up about who we are.
Who we are? Okay.
Yeah, where we want to be.
Yeah.
Where we want to be. But she makes an amazing point when she talked about the other thing that she said that really kind of took me on a journey is when she talked about the fact and using the analogy of the turtle and the turtle going back to its roots or going back to where it was born. And, about 5 years ago when I stood in a gap, some of you will know that, when they got me to write a little piece of paper, they call it a manifesto. One of the things that I thought about for a long time, given that we always wanted to grow our population, was having some sort of a strategy that sought to attract Caymanians and Caymanian descent back home, because naturally, in my mind anyway, people would be drawn and be much more willing to have their hands on the plow to build and to develop this country. And who more than those who are either born here or their children, their descent, and to really pursue a strategy of that sort. Many of your guests, Dwayne, and those who are calling in were our descendants or otherwise of Caymanians who left here many years ago, and now we're having a similar sort of dream with many Caymanians who have gone to the UK. I mean, my family alone, for example, I can identify at least about 30 to 40 family members who live in the Florida area, all still carrying Ebanks' name from 3 of my grandfather's siblings who went to Florida from Cayman. And many of them, certainly the boys, are all Ebankses. And I'm sure many of them yearn to come back and want to come back, but as usual, we make it easy for everybody else. but it was just something that was on my mind, I thought to share how nice it would be. Imagine, I'm kind of the John Lennon thing right now. Imagine if we could pursue something like that and make it attractive. I don't know what it would be, what we could offer, assistance with housing as you come in. If you're Cayman descent, seeking to come back home and develop. Think about the skills and all of the the resources that would be coming back with Caymans, and they would naturally click. One, because they have family here, they're from here, their bloodline is from here, and how much better it would be. We'd be building a nation, but that's called nation building. We don't seem to be doing that too well. Thanks, man. Enjoying the show.
Hey, thanks very much, man. Thank you very much.
That guy hit some nails that driving into my heart. My situation, I've been fighting to get my children their status, and the amount of boulders that is in the way, it's crazy.
Maybe the problem is you call them boulders and not just big rocks.
They're from Texas. They're big.
Oh,
boulders. They're big, and
big old
boulders. But that's exactly what is in the bottom of my heart, is to put out the red carpet for or Caymanians that's born overseas. That's what I just call them, Caymanians born overseas. And my family, direct family, has some 30-something descendants there in Texas that is not recognized as Caymanians because of all the immigration problems we have.
When they go to Walmart, they recognize us Caymanians.
I just can't understand, huh? I just don't get that thing right.
It's serious.
It's a serious thing. Just because you live down there only a year or two, and you,
I won't call it living. I won't call it living.
Just because you survived down there.
No, deal from that perspective. When we look at
what are you?
Yeah, this whole idea that here is Cayman, and honestly, it's a small place geographically. The landmass, as Ray said, very small. The population, even since the 80s, our population has doubled every 18 years, statistically, right? Not necessarily because of birth, but despite the relatively small size, our impact and our spread, as Ray shares, is wide and far. Now, coastal cities, port cities in particular, a place like Port Arthur, Texas, in the early days.
God bless it.
Yeah. Where would you say it was a sister city? Is it still celebrated?
Oh, yeah, in what? 1983?
Was it 82, 83?
83, I think it was. There were what would you call it? Some agreement with Chamber of Commerce, I think.
Yeah, the
Port
sister
Arthur,
city. Yeah. Sister city.
They were named the sister city. I remember at Galleon Beach, it was a key. I don't know what lock it, opened. It was a big buttocks monkey key.
Cutest city.
So I was like, wow. So, yeah.
And then we look at this celebration not only of our people, but the deep connections. We listen to how people would say that even though they know they weren't from a place and they may be generations removed, there's something back. I think
we talked about off air. The DNA stuff gets in your DNA, even if you're not from here. All that cassava and heavy cake and fish dinner and turtle gets in there.
I mean, like my children, my daughter just came down with my two grandsons, and she said, first, I feel like I'm at home. And that was the first time. She said, everybody looks like my family.
Looks like me, she said.
Yeah.
Because in Texas, she said, it was like, everybody, what are you?
What are you?
Yeah, I think all of us got, we all got that. Huh?
My little grandson, he was just he's just a Caymanian born in Texas is all I see. I mean, you don't have much choice of where you're born. And to me, a Caymanian is not necessarily your birthplace. It's your attitude towards our culture, or people, and or environment that makes you a Caymanian.
Well, something that all the callers have shared, though, is that as we travel, whether in Texas or Tampa or even overseas, we don't see some of the things that others see. The color of the people's skin was immaterial.
And then sometimes we see things that other people
don't see.
Well, yeah.
We put it perspective. We see that.
Smell things to be like, cheese.
Man.
Yeah. But I mean, someone like I remember when I first met Ward. I won't tell the story.
You're not gonna make me.
Did he have his have his dreads on?
Oh, yeah.
Was he simply red then?
Oh yeah, that's how we met. He's simply red. I'm the only guy with dreadlocks that had dinner at the governor's house. I took my hat off. Yeah.
I'll show you a picture.
I don't think so.
We'll have another show while these two converse.
Sorry,
but this is it. I mean, there is something unique, and I think every society should celebrate its own. Have greater respect is something that I think we're lacking for our own people, from ourselves, but from others as well. So, Ray, I said at the outset, I always say, and perhaps people don't necessarily understand or appreciate, maybe I don't say it sufficiently, the amount of work that you put into this, the cursory review. So we planned out the show, Ray select a certain thing. There's only so much we can put in. And then you got to go through that, you got to make it, and some of it has to be verified. Some of it is a toss-up. Well, we don't have any source, but there's an oral source here that has a level of credibility from another supporting thing.
Mm-hmm.
If you don't put it out there in order to get it,
there's a couple of things. There's a couple of things. I mean, I'm sure what do we have by way of call? I think we've got one more call to make, huh?
You want to put that call? Let's initiate.
You want to initiate it now, and then we let us know when you're ready.
Yeah. Okay. So we're and this is part of the research, right? Mm-hmm. But as we did that wall. I mean, you want to bring in
the wall. Then there's also stuff like to do with Port Arthur in that region.
Yeah.
Like Texaco was founded there.
Mm.
Texaco
and Spindletop.
The whole oil. I think you touched on it, but I don't think I know I didn't appreciate it when until I was researching it, that the whole Texas known for oil thing started in Port Arthur region, right there, Beaumont.
Right there in Beaumont, Spindletop, right next door.
The whole oil boom
right there,
Lamar University.
Yep. Yeah, it's right there.
And then again, Texas Fuel Company. This is 1903, and then that went into that became Texaco after the war. And then we said Gulf also.
Yeah, Gulf, yeah.
And all of the chemical plants and stuff. It's not a pretty.
All right. So we got our other guests.
Yeah.
Our other guests joining us as we go to the phones. And we welcome Mr. Richard Parsons. Mr. Parsons, good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon. Ricky Parsons is how I'm known to everybody in Cayman.
Yeah, okay.
I grew up there.
I wasn't sure if you grew up yet. Like, you were big people.
Oh, yeah. Listen. When I was born in 1949 on April the 19th in West Bay, you all weren't even thought about.
We were thought about.
April the 19th, 1949.
We were just discussing that. Your how old you were. Me and Uncle Billy was saying. I was saying, man, Ricky's gonna probably live to be 120 years old because he looks so good for 70.
Absolutely, I'm 69 years young.
Mm-hmm.
This is the best I've ever felt. I know it's all that fish stew and mangoes I ate growing up. Good genes.
Yeah. Good genes.
Yeah.
Good genes.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Now, give us, if you would, but
first of all, where you never told me where you were. Where are you now?
I am living now in Round Rock, Texas, which is just north of Austin. And my parents moved to Port Arthur in the 1970s and moved to a house in Foster Estates, built by a Cayman Bracker.
Thank you very much.
So you think that they're Caymanians too, the Brackers?
They're more Caymanians than.
Don't you be getting me in trouble.
But you're calling from Texas right now.
Yeah, I'm calling from Round Rock, Texas, which is just north of Austin.
Did you go get a donut this morning?
Oh, no, sir.
They get the best donuts in the world. Big.
That's what they say, and they really are. But I'd rather have a mango than a donut any day.
But the mango crop not good this year, but the breadfruits are.
Yeah, yes, either one.
Just a question. You had said that you had moved down there in the 70s, but in reality, didn't you and Roger and Ricky, you and Roger and even Butch was down there in 1967, 68 when you were in the Gulf Coast Bible College?
I was, yeah. Well, yes, I had come down before then. in the 1968. But my parents moved to Port Arthur in 1970. In 1970s.
Yeah.
And now, since I've been retired, I never have lived in Port Arthur. I used to live in Houston, then I lived in Beaumont, and when I retired 8 years ago, I moved to Round Rock. And I have met Caymanians here, too. Betty and Betty Kerr from Georgetown, or just a few miles away from me.
Just walk around.
We shop at the same supermarket, didn't even know it. So there's Caymanians all over the place.
Yeah, up in the hill country is beautiful part. Like when, family or visitors come from Port Arthur, come from Cayman used to visit me, I would take them up to, like, in the hill country and show them some, the lakes and stuff up there because the water was clear. Not like down in Port Arthur where you could touch your face without seeing your hand when you go swimming.
Daddy, why don't you come swimming?
No, I
never get in that water.
No, I never got in that. My foot never got in that water.
You didn't miss anything except some tar balls and.
Yeah. And my dad hated that sand, so he used to get a big gallon bucket on top of it and make you strip naked and pour that hot water on you because he didn't like the sand getting in the car, man.
So, Ricky, from there, as your parents move, tell us about the time there.
Pardon me?
In Texas, Ray?
Yeah, like what? How was it coming? Was it? Did you not want to go to Texas, or you were looking forward to Texas?
Well, here's the thing. My dad was one of the original Cayman seamen, and with National Bulk Carriers, and of course, then they would have to sign on for a year at a time to be gone, and eventually that took a toll on anybody's family. When he had a chance then to move to Port Arthur and join a ship there that would go coastwise and be home more regularly, eventually the whole family left and moved there. I never moved to Port Arthur. I went to Houston and had there moved to Beaumont with a career and then retired. But once a Caymanian, always a Caymanian. When I got homesick, they took me in 1968 to Galveston to the beach, what they call the beach. and I, to this day, can't figure out how they could get in that water because it did not look like.
Well, you had to wash the tar off your feet.
When I went, I kept getting slippers, and I never took slippers to the beach. I kept getting this thing on my foot, the bottom of my foot. And I was like, what is this?
Yeah.
But not the same. There's nothing in the world going to ever compare to what we grew up with. You
didn't realize.
I was just thinking.
No, I was saying you didn't realize how we call it blessed you, how fortunate you were. And then to me, anything else, it's bad because anything else you go to now, it's like, Miami Beach was the same thing. It was like,
but you were sharing. You realize you were saying
when you say beach, we think
beach.
West Bay or Miami Beach.
Beach.
That's right, and that's our point of reference. But I mean, I've been to Hawaii. I've been to all over the places, but they're nice, but. Nothing will ever compare.
Nothing.
I used to make the mystery of fishing down there. You could see what you're pulling.
Now, while I was with the show this morning, I got to thinking, and let me share this with you because Steele was very young. Ray wasn't even born yet, but we would go. The cousins would walk because I grew up across the West Bay, across at the western tip of 7 Mile Beach, and on Saturday morning we would go and go fishing, and we would walk on the water line, the beach. We could see all the fish, and up ahead we could see the shimmering and the water just kind of splashing. We knew there was a school of fish, and when we'd get there, we could see them. We could see the huge school of reef shats or jacks or whatever, and they would say, I asked Butch about this, I said, is it true that we would say, oh no, not reef shack again. We want something different. And
all the time.
Hoping to find a different kind of fish, because you could see your fish, and there were actually fish, schools of them.
Right. So, Ricky, if we could just ask you maybe to hang on a little bit, so we go to our news, and then we come back and you can tell us more stories.
We got to hear what Trump. Absolutely.
We got to hear what Trump is doing.
All right.
He don't live in Texas.
Yeah. Stay tuned. When we come back, more See What I Saying.
South Coast Bar and Grill up in Breakers, man, that is the place for traditional Cayman cuisine. Oh, you will love the taste. At South Coast Bar and Grill, we got conch and lobster and turtle stew. And every Sunday, come out with your family for the barbecue.
Enjoy dining by the sea in the relaxed, tranquil atmosphere with local food specials every day and karaoke every Saturday night with Cayman Elvis.
For Cayman and cuisine, the talk today is South Coast Bar and Grill.
Satisfaction is guaranteed 24 hours a day, whether it's music or information.
From Grand Cayman to Cayman Brac to Little Cayman, we've got you covered.
You ever hear a thing like that?
Radio Cayman in the Cayman Islands.
Why rush around paying bills when you can pay most of your bills online? Cayman National offers an extensive list of service providers. Visit CaymanNational.com and log on to our personal or business online banking systems. Not an online banking customer? Contact their customer support team on 949-8300 for more information.
The Advance Automotive Chevrolet 30-day countdown is on. For the month of July, save big with once-in-a-year pricing on all remaining 2018 Chevrolet models. Advance Automotive is making room for 2019 models with unbeatable pricing on remaining 2018 models. We are in the last 12 days. Come and see the 2018 Tahoe, rated most dependable large SUV by J.D. Power, and now available with $3,000 cash back. 30-day countdown from Advance Automotive. Visit the showroom on Owen Roberts Drive or visit AdvanceChevrolet.com today.
Congratulations, it's a boy.
During the greatest events of your life, whether or not you have the right health insurance coverage should be the last thing on your mind. That's why at Fidelity Health, we are committed to helping you get matched with the right plan to suit you and your family. We offer a range of plans to suit your budget, plus access to a network of quality care throughout the Caribbean and the USA. You can relax and enjoy life's greatest moments when you are covered with Fidelity Health. Call us today at 949-7822 for a free quote.
Nursing, education, social work, media studies, hospitality, electrical, plumbing, AC. Wow, I didn't even know that the University College of the Cayman Islands offered all that.
Yes, all that and more, as well as event management and QuickBooks. They also did customized training for our staff last month. Hey, didn't your son just graduate from high school? Take him so he can apply for the fall semester.
Pursue your academic and professional goals at UCCI. Admissions are ongoing. Classes start August 27th. Visit them or call 623-8224 to learn more.
89.9 Radio Cayman helps you to weather the storm during this hurricane season.
One of the most crucial elements of hurricane preparedness is storm awareness. During the season, it is of utmost importance to pay attention to the latest local weather forecast, as hurricanes do not suddenly form or strike. There are various methods of advanced notification. Utilizing such may be the difference between a favorable outcome and disaster. Both television and radio serve as excellent mediums with up-to-the-minute storm path information in the wake of a hurricane. Another method of tracking a hurricane may be only arm's length away. Your smartphone or tablet can be your most valuable tool before, during, and after a storm, providing countless numbers of apps with crucial hurricane information. Many apps allow you to track storms with moving radar and satellite imagery, plus offer alerts, current conditions, forecasts, advisories, and even video.
This hurricane preparedness tip was brought to you by your community radio station, Radio Cayman, 89.9 FM.
At Seaboard Marine, customers often ask us questions about their shipments.
Hi, I'm thinking of buying a car from the States. Which port do you ship out of?
Hi, we ship out of Miami, Houston, and Brooklyn. Just let us know your port of choice and we can provide you with a quotation and answer any questions you may have on insuring and protecting your vehicle during its journey.
Shipping shore to shore, Seaboard.
Radio Cayman.
Radio Cayman's newsroom. These are the biggest stories right now.
The National Roads Authority has begun construction of the Elgin Avenue extension. The construction will extend east of Elgin Avenue from the CNB roundabout, connecting to a new 2-lane roundabout with exits to Printer Way and Crew Road. When construction is complete, motorists will not be able to access Printer Way via Thomas Russell Avenue. Construction, however, is expected to last about 4 months, and drivers are being asked to drive slowly and carefully, keeping an eye for traffic diversions. Good afternoon, I'm Dion Anglin with your headlines. In news elsewhere, U.S. President Donald Trump says he is ready to intensify his trade war with China by slapping tariffs on all $500 billion of imports from the country. I'm ready to go to 500, he said in an interview with the CNBC channel. Mr. Trump's comments come before the most recent round of U.S. tariffs has had time to take effect. A man armed with a knife has attacked passengers on a bus in the northern German city of Lübeck, wounding several people, one seriously. A suspect was arrested at the scene and taken into custody, police said. An area surrounding a bus stop in the Koznitz neighborhood was sealed off. Local newspaper reports put the number of wounded at 14. And a senior French presidential aide is to be dismissed from his job, officials say, after footage emerged of protesters in Paris being attacked by a man wearing a police visor. The action against Alexandre Benalla was taken after new facts emerged in the case, French President Emmanuel Macron's office said on Friday, which was today. Mr. Benalla also is being questioned over the footage of the May Day protests. That's a wrap of your headlines. I'm Dion Anglin.
Radio Cayman, the voice of the Cayman Islands.
What's happening in your community? News and information, music and more. You can find us. www.radiocayman.gov.ky. Like us on Facebook and follow us on Twitter. Radio Cayman is your choice, your voice for today's biggest news. Radio Cayman. How would you describe Wha Ah Saying?
A language, history, and culture show on Radio Cayman 89.9 and 93.9 FM.
Okay, I like that definition. Now let's get back to the show.
Wha Ah Saying?
Hey, good afternoon. Welcome back. Thank you so much for joining us, Ray Banker and Wha Ah Saying, with D. Ebanks and Ward Scott as our guests, including on our phone, Mr. Ricky Parsons.
Continuing the Texas Cayman connection.
All right.
Sir.
Yes.
Yes, you're on.
Cayman, Texas connection. That's right. And let me tell you, it's hotter here than it is in Cayman. We can have 102 degrees and you got 89 degrees.
Wow.
That's just not fair.
Miss Sorry. Sorry you're here.
Jeez. Now, Ray, go ahead.
Yeah, Ricky, can you tell us sort of your impressions, sort of when you first moved over? How was it when the transition? Being that far away from the Nizaberry tree.
I went to, well, it was back in the day when the Astrodome was the place to go. And all I remember is looking in the Astrodome, looking around, thinking, this was in 1970 probably, thinking you could put everybody in this place from Cayman and still not have a full house.
Yeah.
That's how big the Astrodome was, and that's how small the population of Cayman was at that time.
Mm-hmm. You probably still could do it.
Yeah, I think, Astrodome holds 70,000 people?
I think it did.
Yeah, not anymore, right?
Cayman could fill it. Cayman could probably fill it up now, but not back then, yeah.
Is the Astrodome still around?
Yeah. No, I think they tore it down now. Astro
Is
World's gone too.
Is the Astrodome still around?
Yeah, it is.
You know, I can't remember if they tore it down or not. They were trying to
big,
save
you'd
it,
think you'd know.
but it's in danger. If it hasn't been, it's in danger of being torn down because it's kind of obsolete now. Everything is so much bigger than the Astrodome, and that's just the way life goes, you know.
One guy bought it from the waterbed gallery, like one guy that owned some waterbed company, and he had it private.
I thought they were using it for the monster truck events and stuff. They're still using it, I thought.
That's
So just to call it, how did you get, like, literally, how did you get to Texas from Cayman?
Well,
Where'd you have to do?
in 1968, I was going to Bible college in Houston, and of course, I learned more by my own devices about living in a big city than I would ever have going to a Bible college. I got more of an education exploring on my own and working and going to everything possible that I could go to, any concert. If there were concerts that, like, in a huge arena where I couldn't afford to go, I would volunteer to be an usher just to be. I wanted to see everything and do everything.
So you were slick, basically.
I kept doing it. Huh?
You were slick.
Well, yeah, I still am. Yeah, and like I said, then my parents moved up here, so it was like, and I did move by briefly to Cayman, and just because, you know, my when your parents are somewhere else, you want to be nearer to them. So we all ended up.
Not always the case, but yeah.
Yeah, not always the case, right? Yeah. And of course, what do I know? I thought, well, I'm going north. It's bound to be cooler than Cayman, and turned out to be hotter than any place on some earth.
Yeah.
This is amazing.
And so, so you said after you went to college, you came back to Cayman for a while?
Back briefly with my first wife, where we had our first child, and then because back then the opportunities weren't like they are now. I mean, the banks back then hired Caymanians for as little as maybe between about 100 a week, maybe, or less. I can't even remember now. Wow. But it was almost unheard of. And I wanted to raise a family, so just economically thought, well, I'd move to a land of great opportunities, and that's where I did make better opportunities and have my home and everything here. So, but Cayman was a Caymanian, always a Caymanian, and that's where my heart is. It'll always be Cayman and Caymanians. Although I will tell you, the last time I came to Cayman was my grandson and my daughter and son-in-law. It was a shock because I tried to drive around the roundabouts and got so confused. I pulled over to the side, and I think I might have said a cuss word or two. my grandson, who was 10, was trying to read the map. My son-in-law said, "I'll drive," and my daughter sat in the back seat, and she just prayed the whole time because I was totally lost. Did not know where I was.
Well, I'll tell you a story. Before when they finished the new road, well, one of the new roads there, the one goes on to Barbanu Road. Like, I went a different way in the morning, and I came back, and the road had opened up, and I had to call Bonnie. I called my sister because I got lost. I didn't know where I was.
Yeah, that's pitiful. And you live there.
Yeah,
but it's
a new tunnel every day.
I was in Morgan's Harbor.
Oh yeah, I had been.
Yes.
You see, when you went to Georgetown from West Bay, back in my time in the 60s,
I just got news.
50s and 60s, you could see where you were, and you knew where you were going to be next, and then you eventually saw the beginnings of Georgetown. But now, when you leave West Bay or Georgetown, it's never the same. You don't know where you are anyway because there's just no break in the scenery. It's all one
hotel,
one resort after another.
Yeah,
we have a listener in Arizona who just says the Astrodome has been out of service since 2008, but still stands.
Oh, the Astrodome is still around.
Yes. Thank you,
Still standing. Yeah.
Tell me something, Ricky. Do you remember going on West Bay Road, and every car that passed you would wave at it?
Every car.
You remember?
Oh, the
two that you saw. The two that you saw.
Oh, I can tell you better than that because I grew up in West Bay, across from where Mr. Lee's house used to be, and just before you get to the West Bay Cemetery, you're going to town. when the new road opened up with the asphalt and everything, we could go. That was our place to play marbles on the road. And if you heard, because it was so smooth, and if you heard a car coming, well, you just got out of the way. And not only that, you could sometimes tell whose car it was.
Of course, by the sound, yeah.
That's right.
That's what I would tell people. I would say, we'd be playing marbles in the road down Hell Road, and I'll know when Henry Bush leaves the airport with tourists. You know, I could hear the car.
So, Mr. Parsons, though, I mean, in that era when you're born here, and then, you know, sort of your formative years, and then you leave and go to Texas. I mean, whether you're in Texas in 1950 or 1970, Texas is a big place, and you end up in Houston as it is, right?
That's right.
Anything stands out in terms of whether it's a culture shock, whether it's the heat, whether it's the size of the place, the population, that from a boy coming from the islands, you know, sand between your toes, to go up there and you're getting, you know, tar on your foot and you're not bacchus. I mean, what was most striking?
Jellyfish. It was the sheer size of it all. The sheer size of it. Like I said, going to some place like the Astrodome and realizing that the entire population could be put in the Astrodome and it'd be a very light attendance. You know, it wouldn't even be full. It wouldn't. Yeah, it would be
VIP only section.
That's
filled
right.
up.
And then I would sit and I'd think, and this is just one place. Those skyscrapers downtown are filled with people, and I can't count how many skyscrapers there are. And back then it was so I would have to take one bus. I never had a car yet. I'd take one bus to get almost downtown, and then take another bus to the other side of town where I could go to work. So it was like unbelievable, the size of it, and that's just Houston. Yeah. When I tell you, when I flew to California the first time from Texas, when we finally left the Texas airspace, the pilot came on and said, "Well, folks, we're leaving Texas now. We're almost to California." That's how big Texas is.
Half the trip to California or more, yeah?
Yeah, more than half.
From Port Arthur all the way past El Paso, 890 miles.
Yep.
Yeah,
well,
unbelievable.
What closing thoughts you may want to leave with our listeners, Mr. Ricky?
Say what?
Anything else finally you would want to share with our listeners?
Well, appreciate Cayman, even though it is, to me and people my age, paradise lost. There's still some paradise there, and to always appreciate the island you have and the beauty that's there, and make sure you're doing your part to preserve what's there and don't let it all be lost.
But this
preserve
is it
what
now.
you can of Cayman and Cayman's history.
Yeah. All right. Hey, thanks much, man.
Rick, I think that might be paradise plums you saw.
Yeah, I couldn't even find cocoa plums when I was there last.
Oh yeah, there's one bush you go back. There's one bush right outside. Susan. Yeah, right outside. I think there's a rent a car place right next to it. There's one big bush right there.
Yeah.
Kevin Black, that is.
But don't tell anybody.
Yeah, I knew you would know where it was.
All right, so we thank you for joining us and making a call, from Texas. Yeah.
Thank you. You should have called me an hour ago. I got plenty of Cayman stories.
Hey, eat a donut.
Thanks, Ricky.
Next time, man. Next time.
All right. So good talking to you.
Always a pleasure.
Same here.
All right, our final break, gents. When we come back, we'll wrap it up. Stay tuned.
Yeah, all of that stuff.
Wow, looks good. What is that?
Chicken share.
What did you just say to me?
Chicken share.
I am not a chicken.
Whoa! I said chicken share. It's from KFC. Bucket of 12 hot wings, 6 pieces of chicken, or 8 tenders. KFC chicken share. Just $12 each.
Oh.
Want some chicken, tenders, or hot wings?
You're sharing your chicken share with me?
The new chicken share from KFC. Just $12 each. And it's finger-licking good. Dine at KFC Baytown Plaza, KFC Shedden Road, or KFC at the Strand.
Optical Outlook is so wicked.
They're brilliant. Tremendous.
So hot. They're awesome.
Yo, them cool.
They're sweet.
Just ice, mate.
I love them like cooked food.
Head to Optical Outlook and find many designer brands for men and women. Sun safety and eye health care never look so good. They'll be able to help you find the best fit for your face and budget. Call 746-2020 and book your eye exam today. Come see the difference with Optical Outlook and make sure to follow them on Facebook and Instagram.
Attention construction industry. Get affordable builders public liability and workmen's compensation insurance today with FIS Insurance Brokers, offering combined annual premiums starting as low as $700. Policies are required for registration with the Cayman Islands Builders Board. Contact FIS Insurance Brokers today for full details and to sign up for your policies ahead of the Builders Board deadline on July 31st. Call FIS Insurance Brokers on 623-5616. Visit the office at 196 Shedden Road, MoneyGram Building.
Did you know that recycling collection containers are located island-wide in Grand Cayman? The Department of Environmental Health's program is an integral part of DEH's waste management responsibility in the Cayman Islands. Start your recycling program at home today. Put your cardboard items in appropriate DEH recycling containers at all Foster's supermarkets, Kirk Market, or Hurley's Grand Harbor. Help keep Cayman clean. Reduce, reuse, and recycle. For more information about recycling, go to www.deh.gov.ky.
See Wha Ah Saying is a special feature of Talk Today with contributions from the National Museum, a language, history, and culture show on Radio Cayman 89.9 and 93.9 FM. See Wha Ah Saying?
Hey, good afternoon. Welcome back. Thanks for joining us. With good company, Ray Banker and our guests, D. Ebanks, Ward Scott. Ray, Port Arthur, Texas, Texas Caymanians, Cayman Texans. What do you say?
There's plenty. I'm missing a whole bunch of stuff. You need to find out, know about this guy. What is his name? Captain Ambrose Eddingston. How does it go? Ambrose T. Eddingston. But they found out he changed his name. It was a Thompson. So he put Thompson in the middle and made Eddingston his last name. And he did Eddingston Court. You see it here?
You're going to carry it up?
You put it up there. See it there? Eddingston Court. Eddingston Court.
You see that? It's made out of conch shell.
Conch shell. Eddingston Court. It's in Port Arthur, Proctor Road. 6,000 conch shells were brought from Cayman to there. Come on down. Come back with that.
Right. No, but Ray, that was built when?
1929. And here it is.
And all of them were shipped from Cayman, right?
All of them. His 2 shipments with his brother-in-law, I think, Tibbets.
I wonder if they got those in season.
That's a
big fine.
Yeah, he was the one that caused the problem.
We're going to calculate how much a fine is when for the boat overloading. But check the size of them. 2 of them will make a conch dinner. And look, you see the size of them?
Broad conchs, huh?
There's some.
Everything's big?
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, they got bigger when they went to Texas.
Yeah. But his story is he's a Thompson. He's a Thompson. Let me see. Hold on, where I got it. He's a Thompson. Like I said, his people was. Let me show you people. Hold on. His people. Parents were Ray McCollister Thompson. This is like 1815, 1911.
Sounds like they changed their name to be important.
Well, that's why I wondered when we talked about the race thing. I wonder if it was. That's what I thought about. I couldn't figure out why it was.
And it's not like they changed. I mean, they changed it odd.
Yeah. Eddingston. Make a name for himself. I don't know. Emmeline Virginia Thompson, 1853, 1913. They're buried in Dixie. He was buried in Port Arthur. Or, no, where is it? Outside of Port Arthur. Jefferson County.
Yeah, that's the county. There's Port Arthur was Arthur Stilwell and William Gates, I think it was.
But they had with his graveyard. It looked like a stush one. It's actually like a mausoleum. It's a serious mausoleum for him and his wife. Huh?
The Green Lawn Memorial.
Green where?
Green Lawn.
Is that where it is? Green Lawn?
Yeah, off of Gulfway Drive.
Yeah, I mean, there's so much money in Port Arthur.
Across from Jefferson's shopping center.
The guy that built it was...
You didn't get arrested there, did you?
Okay.
No,
so Ray, for that part, I mean, his connection is the importance of him.
Well, his connection, I would want to see if we have to do a 2 thing. But
yeah, I know.
His thing is he was a tugboat captain, and then it looks like when the oil boom started, turned into the 20th century, he started Sabine Shipping Company.
Yeah, he made a little money.
Yeah. And this conch shell wall is Eddington Court, and he borrowed in 1929. He borrowed $90,000.
Holy!
Yeah, which calculates. Wait, you got it?
1.3 million.
1.3 million
plus today.
That was yesterday, or that's today?
In today's money.
On 2017, it couldn't go to 18. I guess because they needed to calculate it at the end of the year.
So what did you get a loan for?
To build the apartments.
I thought it was for that wall.
Well, that's part of it. Yeah, that's part of his thing.
Oh,
and he's got it's a part of your
National Register, History Register.
Thank you for reading them notes.
Well, they got the whole thing with just so much money in there. The guy that did help build Port Arthur was Gates. And
yeah,
they
tell
call
us
him
about
Bet $1 Million Gates because he bet a guy, and he was in a train going down to Port Arthur. Him and Arthur Stilwell, and there was raindrops. 2 raindrops were coming down the glass while they were traveling, and he bet $1 million that his raindrop was going to win, and he won.
That's Texas. Yeah. That sounds like Texas. That sounds like. What were you saying about the hurricane fence, though? What is that about?
Yeah,
the
that's
family?
The guys that made hurricane fences, chain link fences, and they started there. Somebody's got to know up there. It's Foster.
The Cayman Company.
It was Caymanians that went there and built the company, but they're all over everywhere now.
I heard the brand before.
Yeah, and they were big. Still
so we
big.
need to get them back here.
Yeah,
them people. We need to put up some fences up here.
And they had it on Memorial Boulevard. I think they used to have a restaurant called Cayman, and it didn't stay open for very long in Port Arthur. Yeah, remember?
Nobody could finish the meal.
Close to the bowling alley.
Yeah, exactly. And we were all excited it was going to open up. Sorry if somebody can hear me. We're all excited. We got there
Sometimes people listen to this show, you know.
Yeah.
Just so you know.
Are we on?
Yeah, we on. It's like a big break. We just all talk to the break. So that's Port Arthur. There's a lot of Caymanians, and we got a lot of connection with Tejas.
I'd like to thank Miss Dennington, my 3rd grade teacher. I remembering all this stuff.
You forgot it all now?
No, I remember it. It's great.
Yeah. So Sabine... I should, but it sings like that.
You say it funny. It's Sabine.
Well, when I heard it from my father, it was Sabine.
Yeah, you
don't like a sunbeam.
You don't listen too good.
Well, there's another side to that too. He didn't know that he was. He didn't know that the company he was on. He didn't realize.
Didn't get the connection.
He knew that there was a lot of Caymanians in it. This was, I think, from my understanding, his last trip there. And it was just within the Gulf or within the Caribbean, anyway.
Well, I think he was going to from most of them left the Gulf with product and went to the East Coast. I think he was going up to Massachusetts, up there around Connecticut.
Eagle Point, Maine was my dad.
And you worked for you?
Just 17 years.
Oh, and so you know how to pronounce it then?
Yes, I know how to pronounce Sabine.
Sabine.
And we never talked about when the oil crisis hit.
Because really, what we need to say now, Port Arthur is not such a great state. Like your friend touched on it.
He was a fireman there. He's in the one of the reasons he's called. But when the oil prices dropped, it was in the 80s.
Is that the 70s when we had the crisis?
We had the first oil embargo in 1973 from Iran.
So
that was a line on Hell Road that I remember.
Yeah. The second one happened in 1975.
It wasn't an oil crisis. We had too much oil, and so there was the price drop. And so that's when my dad was forced to retire when his ship went into dry dock. That was a happy workaholic man. That was miserable. Waiting to go into the NMU, waiting to see if he's get on a tug or something. And then they forced him to retire. Deadly. Yeah.
I know when I finished high school in 1977.
Which year?
You finished? Which years?
Yeah.
1977. I finished high school.
And what?
And last year you finally.
You wait to go back.
I went on a tugboat,
GED.
and then I went from a tugboat to get my seaman's papers. You can go on a tugboat. Is a good start to get your seaman papers. You can go there without having your seaman's card. And then when I came back off of that, then that was the intro for me to get my seaman's card, and then I could go to on the bigger ships, and I went on the oil tankers, and I was hired with Sabine. And I went out. My first trip was out of Houston, going through the Panama Canal, and I was just so excited. I remember crossing the point of Cuba, and there was a lighthouse, and I had me a 36 roll of film, and I was taking the pictures, and I waited another 2 months to get them developed, and needless to say, I didn't see a light. It was all dark.
I should have given you some lessons.
But that was back when we didn't have digital. I'm sorry. That was back when Fox Photo used to develop them. Photomat and Fox Photo.
Always wanted a job in one of them little things.
Yeah. But, Sabine, when I worked for Sabine, there was quite a lot of Caymanians. Captain Felton Dixon, he was the captain on one of the ships I sailed on. Also, Captain Banks, that's Carol's and Derek Banks' uncle, and he took his last trip. We went through the Panama Canal, and he had brought his wife on there, and that was one of the most exciting trips I've taken because he was one of the finest captains I've sailed with.
The woman on the boat too,
and the woman on the boat there.
The woman was fine too.
She was a real nice lady, but I was walking up to the. I remember I walking up to the wheelhouse. And there was a giant whale. Giant whale just blew.
Don't say that.
Scared me because the water from the whale spurted him. He was only like 50 yards away or less, and from 50 yards he could wet me up with with the spray of the.
I've seen movies like this. I don't think I'm like.
Yeah, I know you still wet behind the ears. You never spent one day on the water.
No,
not one day on the ocean.
Don't water neither.
Okay.
Landlubber. Did I pronounce that right?
I don't know how y'all landlubbers talk.
Hold on. Were these captains, the people you talked about, were they living in Cayman or they were living in Port Arthur?
They were living.
They had moved over there.
Yeah, they had moved over there, and there was a bunch of other Caymanians that was on license, and I sailed with Mr. Jefferson, George Jefferson. Buell Jefferson. Most people know him with, but he lived in Cayman, and he would just come down and catch his ship like your dad did, and so on like that.
Yeah, well, they had like superstar sailors and pilots, and I'm doing a documentary, so I'm going to talk about it more. But there's one Caymanian now. I mean, they're absolutely amazing. They fly people into. They pilot ships in and things like that. And well known all over the world.
I mean, people, all my co-workers and stuff just really respected us and looked up to us. I sort of just flew in on the coattail of all the hard work and the skills of previous.
They thought everybody would be working like
that. Yeah, they just called me Coconut Buster.
And my dad used to bring some strange stuff off that boat. He brought a bird one time with a neck like 3 feet long. It had flown out to the middle of the sea and it got tired. Yeah, so my dad brought up birds and fish and like weird. I was just amazing, man. Every time he came, I had great show and tell, man. An octopus. He'd freeze stuff and then bring it in.
Oh yeah,
and then he'd trade a carton of cigarettes for a .22. Comes right in there, like a rifle. Yeah.
Did he come with some other stuff?
Yeah, American blue jeans or cigarettes is worth a lot when you trading them.
When you would take them over there. Yeah,
take them to other countries. Yeah.
We'll come back. You guys come back later. We'll wrap up. There's a radio show going on right now. I don't know if you know.
I thought there was going to be.
We got right. Susan is doing the what is it?
Wrap it up.
Yeah. Deal. Hey, thanks very much, man. And,
thank you. Appreciate it.
Ward, when you get the documentary,
not so much point.
This it's absolutely amazing documentary.
I want to bring you back on and talk about that because I had a preview of it. Just you're working on it.
You bring your iPad and then hold it up to the camera.
And just
see. Show it like that. Yeah. Well, you could probably bring a stand because your arm could get really tired if it's a long one.
I got equipment. I can do that.
Okay.
Apparently, he has good equipment.
Tripod.
Yeah. So, he's a photographer, man. It's good.
He need to get his DNA done then.
I got a Dropbox.
All right. You know what? I laugh.
Just checking with the audience. Do y'all need a second show follow-up?
Yeah.
I need a conch dinner from Weller's. If anybody going Weller's, please tell them that Ray-Ban can need a conch dinner.
Food? What are you eating right now?
I just eating survival food.
Well, thanks for the survival.
What you want? Yeah, you had the wrapper for the kiss.
All right, listen. You guys are great. Thanks very much. Ray,
hear that? You guys are great. Ray. Thanks.
Yeah, and we got through most of the stuff, but we still touched on a bit of it.
Yeah, we got people listening. We went last night and put the word out. There's people in Tampa, London right now.
Oh, Lord. Yeah. But tell it, we're more professional just normally.
And Arizona, that a couple calls came from.
Yeah.
Wow. Yep.
And we have an incredible history, heritage, or people that are amazing. You guys touched on it, the resilience, the resolve. And, places like Port Arthur in the early days wasn't easy necessarily. But the contributions of our people, and it's time for us to respect it, value it, and now to continue that tradition. To you, I think
the amount of artists and I'm a filmmaker and photographer, and the amount of artists that came out of that area is unbelievable. I mean, that's a whole.
And you too.
Yeah, of course, yes.
All right, gents.
My statue isn't up yet,
and hopefully we'll be able to continue more and get people online. I know, there's the online site that you're part of, sort of facilitating Ward. People can find you there and do your thing.
Oh, no.
Yeah, so we'll see where that goes. Thanks to Susan for helping us out. And hopefully we'll get a format with these cameras a little bit better. But
let you know, I'm better looking in person, okay?
Yeah.
I'm better looking in person. Him in the dark, he better look.
On Monday, we got a couple of things in store for you. We want you to join Mr. Art Corner for the record. Until then, be blessed.
See what I saying?
See what I saying?
See what I saying? It happening every third Friday on Talk Today.
Jointly produced by the National Museum and Radio Cayman. A language, history, and culture show. Remember, it's every third Friday on 89.9 and 93.9 FM.
Proudly sponsored by Cayman National Bank. Proudly serving the Cayman Islands since 1974. Visit Cayman National Bank today for all of your financial needs.
See what I'm saying?